Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Smite Prime Week 3 in the October circuit. My name is Musy. I'm joined here by Spirited Book. We do have General Jithens in the back, making sure that everything is running smoothly. Tess Almighty Eye in the Sky, giving us the action on the games today. And basically, Billy, keeping it basic, Billy, and making sure that we have all the extra fun stuff to sprinkle in through today's day as we progress on. Book, I'm pretty pumped going into these next set of games. There's a lot of implications going on. What are some initial thoughts you have? Just ready to jump in there.
Yeah, so it's week 3. This is going to be the final week before our closed bracket, where it's just the top 8 teams. So a couple of teams that we have to keep an eye out for: Almost Senile, Leftovers, and Societe. All teams currently tied at, I believe, 68 points, if I'm not mistaken. And so they're all going to be vying for that final 2 spots, the 7th and 8th seed spots going into top 8. So those are the teams we want to keep an eye out for.
And we gotta get a chance to see what they're playing for here in the October circuit. That's right, $7,000 in cash prizing and up to 125,000 diamonds that shine so brightly in that sky. You'll be able to use those to pick up whatever you want from those, shops, things like skins, which, speaking of, got a little skin action for you all out there. If you want to go ahead and check out this neat giveaway we got going on, the Misdiagnosis Neath skin. If you use the phrase hashtag giveaway in twitch.tv/Smite Prime, specifically twitch.tv/Smite Prime, it doesn't work in the Smite game chat. You got to migrate over, come right back. It's okay, but pop that in there to enter this giveaway. We are handing out a free Neath skin for one lucky winner. And you got to feel lucky knowing that you could have that skin, because sheesh, she looks so good in Smite 2. Let's take a quick look at the brackets coming up next. Book, you already talked about some of the tensions going into this game, but is there anybody else who's really sticking out to you right now?
I think, honestly, one of the teams we want to pay attention to this week in particular is Clocked In. We've seen them make those finals 2 weeks in a row now, losing out to Smite 2 bad boys. But this time around, Paul, the GOAT himself, is back in the mid lane for Clocked In. So expect to maybe see him pop off a little bit today. Yes, I don't think there's a way that Clocked In can take the first seed from Smite 2 bad boys after winning 2 weeks in a row. But still, this is a good opportunity for Clocked In to show, hey, we're still the top bad boys around the town. So pay attention to us, because we're going to be vying for the win today. So Clocked In, definitely a team to look out for. Societe as well. I feel like this is a team that's kind of starting to find their stride a little more, starting to look a little stronger here and there as we get set here for game 1 of our picks and bans. I'm really excited to see our 2 teams that we'll be seeing. 800 GPM versus the likes of the Titans. Excited to see what these 2 teams have to offer for us today.
So, things to note about picks and bans going into this one, Book. There is a new face that is going to be joining the roster of the playable gods for Smite 2, and that is Osiris. So a fun solo lane bully with maybe a little bit of flex potential to some other shenanigans, given that you have that aspect already, a Hunbot's ban taking off the board. But Book, I'm kind of curious as to your input. Where does Osiris kind of fit into everything? Is it the new hotness on the block, or something to just kind of sit in the wayside?
I think it is, like you mentioned, the new hotness on the block, and it is very hot right now. I think Osiris is a top solo laner. I think he's really strong, oppressive, similar to Bologna, but just has that lane bully aspect in comparison to Bologna, who can be a lane bully from time to time, but more wants to be vying towards those team fights. Osiris is that sweet middle ground of being a strong lane bully, but also being effective and kind of just unkillable in team fights, as we are flying through the bans here. Yemo, Aladdin off the table from 800 GPM. Titan's not going to give adapting that Humbots. Vives isn't going to be rocking the Scylla, and Agni as well will be taken away from Faceless. Osiris is open, Bologna's open. A lot of options here for what Titans want to lock in first. Excited to see what it is going to be that they want.
So, I mean, you already pointed it out, like the Osiris Bellona solo lane combination. It kind of reminds me of, there she is, there's Bellona. That's my girl right there. The Wukong Osiris Bellona holy trinity of solo lane is now from Smite 1 here in Smite 2. And I know we were joking in the booth before of just like, yeah, it's fine. We don't need any more solo laners. Yeah, we got them all. These are all the ones that matter, right? Because as fun as, Cucullin and King Arthur are, how are they going to lane up against the three big dogs? The big three of the solo? So there's piece number one, but that does open up a couple of picks for 800 GPM. Ares finally slips through. I haven't seen that in a hot minute, book.
Yeah, Ares still just a strong, lane bully in the duo lane. And, what we've been talking about lately has been the way teams and carries specifically want to be prioritizing their relics. With Humbots off the table, Ares kind of one of those gods that can fit that role of being a beads puller and forcing carries to go beads. And what do 800 GPM follow up for? Immediately a Tsukiyomi, a character you want to be building Aegis against. So already 800 GPM have just kind of shown that, hey, one of these two characters is going to be effective as Titans go for the Baron Somebody and the Soul. I was kind of curious if maybe Titans decided to go towards Osiris instead and just force the Bellona or Osiris into the jungle and make it work, because I feel like both those characters are so strong. Getting both of them to yourself would make your team just really strong. But the question is going to be, have these teams been practicing the Osiris? Have they been putting the Osiris in the jungle, in the support, maybe in the mid lane with the aspect that we've seen from time to time? But instead going for the Soul and Baron, I'm curious to see where these picks go, because both of them have a lot of flex potential between mid, carry, and support.
It's a lot of, I think already some objective pressure you could put on too between Bellona and Soul, especially can just kind of burn away things like a Pyromancer and a Gold Fury if Bellona finds herself on that side of the map. Already it's a hover of a Neath for 800 GPM, more than likely headed to that mid lane, but knowing that there are still some other options available. Yeah, you don't have the Merlin or the Agni, but still the Hekate's out there. Yanis is out there, I think, as I slip and slide. Maybe take a look at that banned content. The only one banned is the Morgan, so what's going on there? The Neath's going to be the lock-in, and I'm seeing a lot of physical damage on the front and center, but there's the reasoning behind it. It's the Jormungandr, more than likely headed towards that solo lane, so the balance is still balancing for 800 GPM, and there's a lot of brawl to be had there.
Ooh, across the way, Titans, they kind of want to double down a little bit on the magical and put the Soul in the AD carry role and line it up potentially with a Hekate, as Pele is also, I feel like Pele is so underrated right now. She is, especially in this past lifesteal meta that we've been in for a hot minute now of, Devos into Sanguine Lash and just stacking lifesteal on top of lifesteal. Pele is someone who abuses all of those lifesteal items. I'm surprised we haven't been seeing more of her. Even in the soul lane, I feel like she can kind of flex there a little bit. Doesn't have the best laning phase, but mid late game you show up and you can make such an impact similar to Thor. But I do believe this is going to go into the jungle for Dark here if it's decided to be locked in. Touching on the Jormungandr, yeah, balancing the magical damage with the physical that they've locked in. And Yorm is a character we've seen be on the rise as of late, specifically from, I believe, Remakami is the type to usually pull it out. He's been doing really good work on the pick, and the Snake has kind of been a bit of an oppressive pick over in the soul lane. And you look at 800 GPM's comp, what does it want to do? It wants to be diving a backliner. Tsukiyomi's going to be getting in there. Neath Ultimate going to be helping that dive for the Tsukiyomi. Jormungandr can kind of add to that 800 GPM comp of just really getting on top of a backliner and eviscerating them in a moment's notice.
So luckily Soul will have Disapparate, right, to be able to avoid some of that nonsense. God. But the Hekate hover, I feel like she's going to be a little bit more vulnerable if she doesn't have the ultimate available. Not a lot of mobility attached to the god. I mean, you get a little bit of movement speed when you pop that shield, sure, but, is that going to help you against a Tsukiyomi ult or an Ares pull? Jingwei, the final lock-in for 800 GPM. Just all around really solid character. I still think she's able to get to and from lane quickly and efficiently, does a lot of damage. Shotgun Jingwei is alive, it's here, and it's just so much you could want and deserve and crave on your team. Just a lot of crit damage on the front line.
Yeah, I mean, 10th pick Jingwei overall feels pretty good if you're 800 GPM. I mean, I think she is the best AD carry in the game right now. Just incredibly safe, a great late game scaler, one of the few ADCs that can really utilize this crypt build that we like to see. Like you mentioned, the shotgun build of just one-shotting a carry. And you look at Titan's composition, outside of the Bellona that can be a little tricky for the Jingwei to sort out, the rest of Titan's comp is generally relatively squishy. You know, the Soul can get one-shot. Pele, despite going a lifesteal or full damage, you know, kind of tankier build, can still kind of get eviscerated by Jingwei. And you mentioned the Hecate, kind of an unsafe pick into what 800 GPM have. I'm a little surprised by it. I'm not sure if Aim Blue really had a lot of options, though. There's not a lot of mid picks left over. I almost wonder if the Soul should have maybe leaned a little more towards the mid lane, run that aspect, and just go full int and try and play for the one-shot damage. Use that to separate to be a little safer in the mid lane, lock in the Jingwei yourselves, and have Ragna just play really safe over in the duo lane. Really focus on just keeping your backliners safe. And I think safe backliners is a little underrated right now. Soul Jingwei or Soul Hou are, I think, just such great combos of having two safe backliners, and the rest of your comp can really focus on prioritizing dive or prioritizing anti-dive. As soon as they go in, your two carries can just keep their health bars pretty topped off and then immediately turn and burn on the divers. I think Titans kind of missed out on a potential opportunity of just having two safe backliners. Now they're going to really have to prioritize on, okay, 800 GPM are diving. Who do we kill first? Well, Tsukuyomi's going to be in iframes when he's diving. So is Jormungandr. Neath ultimate is going to be from a distance, so she's going to be hard to lock down. Jingwei can dive. When she's can get a little unsafe in the moment, but then she goes up into the sky with her ultimate. Hard to kill in that moment. So 800 GPM, they have a lot of dive potential, but it's incredibly safe dive potential. Ares might be the only potential angle for Titans to look at here.
And you already pointed out earlier that with the initial Ares Tsukuyomi combination pick, that Titans is looking at needing not only Aegis, but that purification beads as well. Yep. So I almost wonder if we see the angle of Baron Samedi picking up a talisman and then a bunch of Aegises from the rest of the team. I really worry about Hecate, like you said. Like, Soul's got a little bit of safety, right? You know, we've got that Disapparate, the ability to make yourself immune, some movement speed, you make some space. That Fire Trail kind of dissuades anybody from hard committing to a chase. Hecate has no such like defensive tools aside from that open the gates and, you know, the magic shield that then it's not going to help against the Neath damage. It's not going to help against that Suki damage or Jing, because it's magic damage only. And I'm looking at the magic damage from 800 GPM, and Ares is going to do a lot of damage because they're Ares, but that's a foregone conclusion. The Jormungandr is going to be building more tanky. Yeah, he'll be able to get in there, but he's not a big, healthy chunk of the damage. I feel like that also kind of shuts off this Hecate pick a little bit from the Titans. And to kind of build on what you were talking about with the identity of these team comps, 800 GPMs is so clear cut and dry, and like even a 7-year-old could follow along what's going on there if you taught them how to play Smite game and got them learned enough to know what's going on. Whereas Titans, little bit of a, I don't want to call it mixed, but I think when you said missed opportunity, I think that was a really good way to describe that. Just because you need this Soul and this Hecate to be sticking next to each other, but this Bellona wants to stay up, wants to get in there, wants to shield bash, to rally. Pele wants to play with her, and then this Baron's kind of like, where am I going, right? It feels kind of like a front to back comp where the back, like you said, just doesn't feel as safe because the peel is not quite there. I want Baron Samedi to be able to find targets with Bellona and Pele, but instead they're going to be so focused on trying to wrap up, open the gates, peel for their Soul and Hecate.
Yeah, I feel like Titans, you kind of mentioned it, I feel like it's just a mixed bag. They kind of do a little bit of everything okay-ish, right? They can front to back a little bit easier with the help of the Baron ultimate. They can full send dive with Pele Bellona. They can kind of disengage a little bit and, you know, immediately then fight back. But they don't do any of these things really, really well. 800 GPM, they have a clear-cut way to play these team fights. They are diving the backline. They're killing somebody, likely the Hecate. Titans, they kind of do a little bit of everything, but not very well. And so you look at this comp and you're like, how do they play these fights entirely? If I'm Vives on the side of 800 GPM and I hold tab at the start of the game and I see that this Hecate has Aegis, I am there as soon as I'm ticking over to level 5. I am ganking this Hecate on cooldown. I'm killing her on cooldown. And if she does have beads, there's going to be a guy named Adapting that's going to be doing the exact same thing. Hitting level 5, ganking the Hecate on cooldown. I wouldn't be surprised if Aim Blue maybe leans a little more towards some defensive items early on. The Helm of Radiance maybe could be an avenue for Aim Blue to look at in the mid lane, just because, like you mentioned, a lot of the damage on 800 GPM is physical damage. Why not lean a little more towards some physical defense, but also have decent int? The problem is Hecate, one of those characters that really does want to lean on ability spamming. You know, the CDR, the Gem of Focus, the Soul Gems, the Chronos Pendants, the Desos, wants to be spamming these abilities as much as possible. And so when you go the Helm of Radiance, you're kind of delaying that power spike that you want to be aiming for. But it might be a necessary evil at this point if Aim Blue wants to even be relevant in this game because of what they're up against on the side of 800 GPM. And I kind of wonder, where does this Hecate fit into this composition? Bellona, Pele all want to be diving, and Hecate is fantastic off of dive. She is a great follow-up for the dive because that shield, she drops it on a frontline dive character, and it does damage to the backline of the members of 800 GPM. The problem is going to be, can Aim Blue position themselves in a place where they can follow up off of that dive with the shield and just not immediately get blown up and engaged on in that moment? I don't think there is a world where Aim Blue can do that. And I think they will have to be the one playing really far back and just being the engaged tool or the beads puller with that open the gates. I think they will be an alt bot this game, low key, can provide decent damage as the game goes on and they kind of get to level 20, can be a little more effective. But in the early mid game, they are really going to struggle.
Yeah. And, you know, kind of looking at, you know, talking a bit more about that early, mid, late game transition, 800 GPM to me has quite a bit that they can offer throughout that early game. Tsukiyomi is able to hit level 5, get online, and already cause some problems for some of these picks on the Titans. I think there's going to be a lot of focus of conversation on this Hecate, and I think that's very warranted, just because that is the part that's sticking out, I think, to both of us, you know, well and true at this point, where we're kind of like, you know, the longer I look at it, the more I'm kind of like, I don't know how this pick is going to be able to survive against such ridiculous layers of dive from 800 GPM. Like, Jormungandr's going to get in there, pull some relics, you know, maybe try to pull some resources there, and then your Ares is going to walk up, and then your Tsukiyomi's going to walk up. You're just like, all right, bro, I get it. Like, I have one ultimate and one bead/Aegis to be determined. And if Baron Samedi is picking up a talisman, that's one less active ability item that they get to have in their slot. So it's gonna be kind of tough for this Hecate to be able to operate. But I feel like Titans have an opportunity, and I'm really looking at this Pele to make it happen. We were talking about how late game might be a chance for this Hecate to shine. We know for a fact that's where Pele really likes to shine as well. Titans scale really well, and we get to scale into a game. That's right, game 1, we did it. We made it in there. Titans versus 800 GPM, and already taking a look across the board here, Book.
Ooh.
What is sticking out to you?
So Hecate has gone towards the beads as the relic option, but check this out. Dark and Ragna have both gone towards the Aegises, and that's because both those characters have CC immunity in some capacity in their kit, and so they feel that they can rely on this Aegis a little bit better. I almost wonder if Ragna maybe should have gone for maybe something like the Shell, or, I mean, Aegis makes sense, don't get me wrong, but the Disapparate is both a beads and Aegis option that they can go for. So why not maybe lean on something that could be a little more defensive for the rest of the team, especially because, you know, Galadriel has to go towards this Sunder. We see so many supports really have to lean on that relic for both, you know, just pure jungle clear, jungle invade threat potential, as well as objective secure. So Galadriel has to lean on the Sunder. The rest of the team can lean on their selfish relics, but look at it. It's just entirely selfish relics. Beads and Aegises across the board. Even Pablo has a beads in the soul lane for the Bellona. It is just going to be a little tricky, I think, for the side of Titans. Across the way, though, 2 Sunders and more selfish relics. Aegises on the side of Adapting, and I love this option that Adapting has gone for. I think Tsukiyomi is most vulnerable after he ults, And so Aegis just buys himself a moment, just a moment where the rest of the team can get involved, can get active in the fight after adapting goes in either first or second, and can just buy a moment's notice for the rest of the team to show up and back him up and hopefully keep their jungler alive. So I really like this option that adapting has gone for. This does mean I would like to see Galadriel maybe look to pressure out adapting in his jungle in the early mid game. Really focus on trying to stop adapting from being effective in the mid game where he really wants to thrive, and just kind of punish him for not going this CC immunity option.
Yeah, and if there's anything that Baron is able to do, it is offer a fair amount of CC between that wrap it up, that life of the party. So keeping an eye out for that Baron to see if they are able to keep an eye on adapting and see if they can force anything away. You can also look at maybe like Dark as well, can be able to ult in on top of adapting, you know, get some knockoffs off and force something there. But that all is questions that are going to be answered later. So far, Book, it feels pretty quiet on the Western Front. No team quite ready to make any crazy engages yet. A little bit of damage across the board, but all of it fairly expected.
Yeah, I think this is going to be, you know, how it goes. OA's left-hand side, bit of aggression here from the side of 800 GPM, but that's all that play is there for, just being aggressive with the Ares and the Jingwei as Dark is on the way.
Yeah, he's here, actually, and is able to jump on top of Echrome. Just swiftly get rid of a health bar, makes the chase after on top of Vibes as well. It's a double kill to start for Titans, as already the Pele that we were asking for to be the late game hyper carry gets active fairly early.
But this is what we needed to see happen. We kind of mentioned it. Dark is the one that needs to set the pace of this game for Titans. They're the one that has to get active. They're the one that has to make plays in side lanes. And already Dark off to a great start here on the left-hand side. Would love to see that as a scaling option going into the mid game, and want to see it continue to transfer over to maybe other side lanes, or honestly could just keep repeat ganking here on the left-hand side. This duo lane from 800 GPM wants to kind of be aggressive with this Ares, as adapting could be in trouble in the enemy jungle. Dark on the hunt here.
Forces out the Aegis, but adapting throws down the Caltrops, and a couple of friends from the other sides tells Dark that maybe the chase is just not worth it, as instead they're going to take a look at those firebrands, and because adapting's so low, they can't really come over to contest. But I'm right there with you, Book. Try to put some more pressure on this dueling, especially because I feel like 800 GPM is going to be very reliant on Echrome and Vibes to get something started, to really keep pressure on that left side, that Gold Fury when it spawns. And yeah, a bit of a grouping here on that blue buff. How many gods does it take to kill a buff camp? 3. On the left side, 2. Here comes Faceless. Damage on. That looks like a pretty low health bar for that Baron. No movement to get away from there. Vibes picks up the kill on top of Galadriel. Ragna can only watch in shock and horror as their purple buff gets stripped away.
Great play from 800 GPM. They see Aim Blue heading to the right-hand side, and with adapting being forced out there, you know, couldn't really contest that blue buff. So Faceless says, okay, that's fine. We'll give the blue, not the end of the world. I will then rotate myself to the left-hand side and put pressure on this purple buff. And it nets them a great invade in a position where, you know, Ragna and Galadriel, they both got 2 assists. That's a good spot for that duo lane. Now a kill onto Galadriel as well. So just a bit of a bounce back from 800 GPM on both the invade and the kill on this left-hand side. Great response from this team of 800 GPM. And adapting with this Aegis force now for another 40 seconds, I'm not so sure if he's going to get punished for that being forced early. I would have loved to have seen Dark, you know, after forcing the Aegis, just run at the blue buff, sure, but then run into the rest of the enemy jungle. Maybe just not aware of where Faceless is in that moment, but trying to keep tabs on this Neath and then run it down at adapting. Because again, still no Aegis, wasn't level 5 at the time. Dark should have hit level 5 with the help of that double kill early, and just didn't manage to use that early pressure that they gained for themselves. And naturally, adapting hit level 6 first, so has a minor experience lead over the side of Dark. Titans had the early advantage, and now I feel like it's kind of a little bit in the wash now, and we're back to this kind of even, you know, farming for neutral farm, just find whatever advantages we can in this early game, as adapting Aegis is now back up, and Faceless is here trying to contest this.
Yeah, they were waiting in the bush, seeing maybe they can make something happen. Unfortunately, you get what you wanted. Faceless backflips against the wall and ends up eating a lot of damage. Open the gates comes out. Little switcheroni here. Tsukiyomi slices and dices between the competition. And an up down from the Bologna is just not enough. It's a clean sweep here. Well, Faceless is dead, but at the 1 for 3 that 800 GPM is able to pick up. And in return, Titans starts to pick up a Gold Fury, and while they're doing a lot of damage, I worry if it's going to be enough. Yeah, they're going to have to back off there.
Vives with a great rotation to that right-hand side helped make that impact play over there. And this is kind of the issue with this Hecate. We mentioned it. Adapting has a CC and ultimate, so has gone for the Aegis, sure, but still is awfully safe to such a big CC tool on the side of the Titans. And so this Hecate is really going to struggle, and Adapting showing already he could just be so effective by just ulting backliners with no Aegis, and that is going to be Aim Blue, who only has the beads. Every single team fight, expect this Hecate to be ulted on cooldown, as well as Galadriel as well, especially if they're, you know, kind of stacking on top of each other, which is where they want to be. Baron wants to be playing with his backline, with his Hecate, trying to peel for her as much as possible, and so that can lead to a lot of damage. Also want to shout out that Vives immediately, you know, after making the play on the right-hand side, just runs back left, is aware, hey, they could be on gold, they could look for an early objective. My presence alone should be enough to dissuade Ragna and Galadriel, who I like that idea. You know, they're all on the right-hand side. Vives made the rotation, try and get the Gold Fury. It doesn't work out in their way, and 800 GPM, they come up with a huge win on the right-hand side.
Staring at about 7 minutes so far. 3-4 in favor of 800 GPM. The gold looks to be in favor of 800 GPM as well. I'm no mathematician, but that's about 2,400 or so. Bologna forced to ult away. Boy, howdy, Jormungandr does a lot of damage, but still keeping an eye on that Yorm. He's got ultimate. In fact, he's going underneath the tower. Disarm, shield bash, neath ult as well. Bologna taking a lot here. Spit on him, Clino, and wipe away the stain that was Bologna underneath that tower. Again, 800 GPM just keeps on the pressure. Uh-oh.
In Blue could be in trouble. Adapting, looking here, has Aegis, so could dive if he wants to, and now Galadriel's gonna get picked off here.
Yeah, and open the gates just a little bit too late, just not able to escape from all the aggression, and also a bit of lockdown from 800 GPM. You know, Baron just does not have the ability to get out of there once he's in the mix.
Yeah, I think Baron as well, one of those characters with no beads, has Sunder as Echrome manages to steal away that purple buff. Nice look, but Dark is on the way here, trying to pick off the Jingwei, but, you know, Echrome has ultimate, should be A-okay on this left-hand side, as, yeah, just a nice play over there in mid lane. Galadriel on the Baron, going to be incredibly unsafe, despite having a CC and ultimate. Has gone for the Lifebinder first item, so doesn't have team beads, isn't going to have any other CC immunity outside that ultimate, so this Baron is going to be a prime target for not only Adapting, but also Vives in the mid game, especially now that this Ares is level 5, has gone for the Mushroom first item, going to be able to peel in some capacity for 800 GPM when they're going for that dive especially. Love that as an option. But now you just kind of have to sit back if you're Titans. You got to slow down, as Dark doesn't want to slow down at all. Looking for Faceless.
Oh, Faceless tries to get the ult off, but Dark hasn't been able to secure the kill. Pops the Aegis, but kited out by Faceless. And of course, Vives and Adapting make that rotation too in order to secure that kill. Dark wanted that so bad, but unfortunately Faceless was just a little bit too slippery. And now Titans is taking another knee. Meanwhile, underneath the tier 1 tower, Pablo trying to up down. Jormungandr barely makes it into the ultimate. The Bologna cannot get away. Yorm, you want to go in there, finish it off? No, they're going to back off, but it's going to be Titans that makes the rest of the rotation over. Now Yorm's going to be in a tough spot. Life of the party pulls in one, but now Banera is all by himself and gets turned on down. Goes Galadriel. The Bologna forced to get away, and Aim Blue forced to run. Faceless around the other side of the wall, and the Hecate's got nowhere to go. Places to be, yeah, maybe the base. And 800 GPM just keep on finding kills.
800 GPM are just a unit right now, forcing fights wherever they please, using the pressure in their lanes as Ragna and Echrome taking a bit of a trade here on the left-hand side. You know, kind of even so far, but just so much damage from this Jormungandr. A lot of people kind of disrespect just how much damage the big snake really brings, especially with this first item Titan's Conch that he's gone for, or Triton's Conch, excuse me. Clino is just going to be oppressive over here. And already you can see Vives on the way here, looking for the Bologna yet again.
Yeah, pulled in, Neath ultimate, spit on, beaten up, bludgeoned, dead. Well, it's been real, Pablo, and unfortunately for Titans, they're gonna lose that solo laner, but instead they go to pick up that Gold Fury and immediately shoved off. 800 GPM are like, listen, this isn't your map, this is our map, we get to do whatever we want here, and what can Titans even do to turn that around? Like, what's the playbook here? Is she, Kate, are you dead? Vibes is here, and I see Adapting walking up as well, getting kind of hot. Aim Blue forced to use that ultimate, brings the Ares with them straight underneath the tier 2 tower in that solo side, and Aim Blue is actually able to escape death.
Wow, okay, nice play there from the side of Aim Blue. I thought they were dead to rights in that moment, but look at this, Clino teleporting on over to this left-hand side, looking to maybe make a play or just steal a bit of farm for Ragna, and maybe gonna look for a gank option here. Dark is also hovering over here, but look, Vives is already teleporting over here. This is gonna be a fight that 800 GPM want to take.
Life of the party lands on top of the Jingwei ultimate. She's out. Soul just separates to the back, and Galadriel sacrifices himself. But for what? Because the rotation from Adapting is here, as well as Dark. It's not enough to save Ragnar, but maybe Dark can turn this around. Pew pew go the lasers. Cut goes the knife. The snake in the air, chasing after this Pele as she tries to make space and get back towards her mid laner. Aim Blue says, what do you want me to do about this? I don't know how to help you. Dark is dead. Aim Blue as well. A double kill for Clino, as Titans just cannot stand against the might, the wrath that is 800 GPM. They're gonna go ahead and take a look at that Gold Fury.
Titans are just getting a little bit shell-shocked. I don't think they realized that Clino had teleported on over until it was too little too late. They pushed up so far on this left-hand side. First Gold Fury going the way of 800 GPM, and they just look so much better right now. I've been kind of, a little critical of 800 GPM as of late there. They should be a little cleaner in some places as a team. They've really started to lock in, I think, in the lead up to this week in particular, and they're looking really good here already in game number 1 of week number 3. And so far, just this composition that they've really got for themselves looks so good and so clean the way they play around it. This Ares Vives having a stellar performance so far. As soon as that relic, that beads is down, immediately they're rotating to this left-hand side, the right-hand side, wherever they need to be to make it an immediate impact with the chains, with that ultimate. Just love what they've managed to do so far. Titans, they're not locked out of the game, but this is a tall task for them to really get themselves back into the game. And I don't know if they have the tools. The Bologna has gone for the lifesteal, the Devos build. I'm kind of not the biggest fan of it anymore. I think it's more leaning towards the full Mitts build, the Spirit Robes. The Berserkers is fine, sure, but I think you really are leaning on more just defensive options. The Nemeans especially. Look, there's a Jingwei on the enemy team. Why not go towards the Nemeans early? They're going to be building towards crit eventually, sure, but go a full Mitt build. I don't think you necessarily need Devourer's Gauntlet anymore if you're over in that soul lane. It is, and across the way, you look at this, Dark has also gone for no lifesteal. So where I want the lifesteal to be, it's not there. And where I don't want the lifesteal to be, it is there. As here we see Vives looking for an ultimate, but it is immune.
Open the gates, life of the party as well. 800 GPM looking kind of low, but guess who's low? It's going to be Aim Blue, as Adapting cuts through the competition, but Aim Blue is able to find their kill from beyond the grave. Clino looking for a kill on top of Dark. Galadriel is not able to make their grand escape. It's a double kill for Adapting, and Faceless finds Dark. Over the wall comes the banner as Bologna comes down, and then into the maws of Adapting. A triple kill for this Tsukiyomi, the Caltrops. It's like stepping on a Lego times 1,000 as 800 GPM clean up yet another fight. It is just ridiculous how much damage this team is doing right now, but it's easy to understand why. A Pyromancer cleaned up, more gold in the pocket, and 800 GPM are trying to live their namesake.
Aim Blue had a great ultimate, but they're just too far behind now. Just not enough damage in that moment's notice, and just no damage. 800 GPM lived, almost all of them. 2 members died, sure, but the important members, Clino is able to kind of wrap around and just be an impact late into the team fight. Adapting is able to just cut through the team fight with that ultimate, avoid a lot of the CC in that moment, and continue just running it down at whatever target he's looking at. It is a 4-level lead for Adapting in the jungle. Dark just too far behind to really look to make plays at this point. Really just has to, I think, hunker down and really just find farm. And that is not a fight that Titans needed to take. Beeves steps up, ults, and what happens? Galadriel immediately ults just defensively. That's fine. Aim Blue gets a 3-man ultimate with the open the gates, sure, but I don't think that's a play you needed to look for if you're Titans. Just slow down. Let the ult for ult trade happen between the supports, because that's one you want to take at this stage of the game, as still Vives hunting for more on this left-hand side.
Oh, geez, the Disapparate is down for this Ragnar for a few more seconds. 800 GPM are lurking around in the area. Clino underneath catches a double knock up there, but not really quite ready to make that engagement. In fact, look at Dark, kind of chilling out behind everybody. And Bologna makes the rotation over on top of 3 people. How long can they survive? Ragnar tries to throw in a little bit of extra damage, but the soul ult's not there. Ares pulls in 1 and open the gates, brings in the Ares as well. Adapting finds Galadriel in the back. Now we move the fight underneath the tower. The Snake's getting busy with it, and Dark runs right into Adapting, who deletes him off the face of the earth. E-Chrome finds the double kill, and we are going all the way in as Aim Blue is dead as well. It's yet another back-to-back triple kill for Adapting. 9-0 and 6. The numbers could have been shuffled around a little bit better, IMO, but hey, winners win, and 800 GPM find this Phoenix.
E-Chrome just got to free cast that entire team fight. They can't end the game here just yet, as the respawn timers are just, coming up too quickly. But E-Chrome just free cast that entire team fight, just wailing away with the auto attacks from a distance, and then all in dive there, really looks at Ragna, then keeps on going to the back line, continuing to just cut through. And again, just the lead for 800 GPM is why they are just so strong now. Left-hand side, Bird being down means 800 GPM can immediately look towards that fire giant that they're walking towards. Titans, can they respond? I'm not so sure they can. 2 members on this left-hand side tells me they're probably going to have to just give this, as Gold Fury is available, sure, should just beeline towards that objective.
Yep, Fire Giant, a foregone conclusion for 800 GPM. We're almost to about 17 and a half minutes. It's 5-23 book. 1 Gold Fury across the board taken. The Fire Giant just confirmed by an 800 GPM, and 800 GPM also sitting with a 1,500 gold lead. Looks like Titans want to be able to reduce that, as they are struggling to clear that. They get the Gold Fury, but 800 GPM is arriving in force. E-Chrome knows they're there, has eyes on Dark, dashes after them. That's a level 13 Pele who's ulting in for all that it's worth. Open the gates, not able to find a target. It's just there to pull Dark back in. Vives had the ultimate on them, so you can run, but you cannot hide. Now 800 GPM get to piece up the rest of this fight. Aim Blue looking to get away, but how are you gonna run from the Giant Snake? And the Suki ultimate as well catches the Van Sandy. Caltrops on top of them. Down goes the Hekate. Aim Blue should have aimed better. Galadriel opens that life of the party and very swiftly gets escorted out of the building, bounced out by an 800 GPM. Now it's just 2 defenders left for this Titan, but I don't know if that's gonna be enough. The Bologna ult in, and for what? To die? Not like that. The Soul, the one standing survivor, level 14 in a dream, level 14 in a dead, a hope. At least Dark's back. Can you make something happen here? Health bars are actually looking fairly low. Do 800 GPM have to drop this? Or can you just pop the dagger, kill Dark, and close out this game? 800 GPM haven't ended it, but it's gonna be soon, surely. As they play with their food, they take out their order. It's gonna be a game 1, 800 GPM.
Adapting, using the Suki ultimate, landing onto Galadriel to hop over the wall to chase down Aim Blue. Great play from him, and 800 GPM. Clean plays by them, and they'll move on to the next round.
And we will move on to the next round as well. But first, we're going to take a quick little break, so please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And we are so back, gamers. Welcome. As we just finished up that game, took a little break, and now we're back to go ahead and break it down. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I won't do the T-book. That's okay. But hey, no, for real, let's take a look at those replays and talk a little bit about the game that we just saw.
Yeah, I mean, look, to me, it just comes down to a bit of a draft diff here pretty early on. 800 GPM, they clearly just had a clear idea of what they wanted out of their composition, and that was just the clear identity of dive, 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 get to the back line, kill them as much as possible, but also drafting strong lanes, faceless on the Neath, just a strong, early mid-game laner, effective hunter versus mage matchup. Echrome, just a solid laning phase, very safe on the hunter, could just farm it out as much as possible. And then Klino on this Jormungandr just did work on the right-hand side, consistently soloing out the Bologna over there. Just great work over there. Great build as well. I love this build, the Jormungandr build as of late. I think when I first saw it, I was kind of like, wait, this doesn't make the most sense. But now that I've kind of seen it time and time again, I'm a big fan of it. The conch, the Helm of Radiance as well, just items that give you int power, but also defense.
It's just a lot to love from the 800 GPM. The way they were building him, playing that game as well. It felt like Titans also were taking a handful of fights that maybe were born a bit out of desperation instead of, a little bit of planning. A lot of reactive instead of proactive gameplay, I think, is ultimately what did the Titans in. But 800 GPM are looking pretty good at the start of the day. We'll get a chance to see whether or not that continues, because I know you said before, Book, 800 GPM can look a little bit on the sloppier side sometimes, but if they can keep it cleano like this, then they'll be able to adapt to the competition and stay and look pretty good as time goes on, as we get a chance to see a little bit of the stats going on here. I mean, 10-0 for adapting, 11 assists. Oh. The Tsukiyomi was just getting actually crazy out there.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at that game, if you're anyone here at Smite Prime, you're saying to yourself, yeah, we're not giving adapting Tsukiyomi for the rest of the day. He just looked hot. He looked hot with it, man. Like, he looked ready. He was clean with the ultimates, hitting every single one of those beams, just getting so much impact on this character. I loved this performance from adapting. It reminds me a lot of, old time adapting, like back in season 2 when he was just by far better than everyone else. And he was kind of just hard carrying games. And I've kind of missed that in the later years of adapting. And I'm really excited if he can pull off that play style again. I'm gonna be really excited to continue to watch adapting and what he has. As we get a chance to look at the bracket here, Glurp versus Retirement Home is going to be in our second round. Sesiete versus Almost Senile, still a match going on. Leftovers versus Keegs versus, still a match going on. 800 GPM obviously taking the win against Titans, and they'll be facing off against Strength of Wood. Clocked in, still waiting for their opponents, as are the Smite 2 bad boys. And it's the bracket's shaping up pretty excitingly so far. I'm kind of really looking forward to some of these matchups in particular. Strength of Wood 800 GPM should be good. Clocked in, whoever they face, ideally gonna be a good matchup. But Clocked in, again, Paul is back. Really got to reiterate that today, because excited to see him back on the battlegrounds. This next matchup, Glurp, man, I'm really excited for it. Last week, Morton and I had a lot of fun casting this as picks and bans here between Glurp and Retirement Home. Excited to see what these two teams have to offer. Retirement Home, kind of one of these teams on the rise as well. They've looked really good as of late, running around, aka Sanford Soccer, really looking nice and clean on this Mercury. So that needs to be prioritized from Glurp and the bands. I'm excited to see the three solo laners kind of duking it out here against another team.
It's a lot to enjoy here. And I haven't had a chance to see Glurp in action. I just saw Benny Q's name and I was like,
yep.
Oh, the goat's back. Oh, huge, right? So Benny Q finds themselves with this team. You got Valo and Speak No Evil as well. I like that roster quite a bit, and if they already have a bit of a reputation from last week, then I'm expecting big things going forward in this match that we get to see. But Solar Troll back over in that solo lane, and Final K over in ADC. I know, we had a chance to see them operate week 1. Retirement Home was looking pretty schnazzy as a team, so definitely an exciting match in our hands. A little bit of bans filtering through here. Giannis on Wukong, the Merlin as well. A lot of gods taken away, I think, already from Betty Q's god pool. Now, granted, it's more of a god ocean, but we know that they like to play that Merlin, they like to play that Giannis, and it's only going to leave them with a handful of options, thinking about like Agni or maybe something along the lines of Hecate.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Benny loves the Hecate, the Yemo band. So I'm kind of surprised by this. Every time Retirement Home have looked good, it's Sam for Soccer on a pick that he's super comfortable on, or running around, excuse me. And so Mercury left open, Pele left open, running around's going to have a ton of options here. Daniel's going to have a ton of options here as well. You know, Yagni, like you mentioned previously, as well as Bari, we saw them play last week. Osiris and Bologna left open, and Glurp, we didn't actually see it last game at all, but Glurp are going to hover the Osiris first pick. And this is, I love this as an option because there's, like we mentioned, as kind of a bit of a meme, but there's 3 soul laners on the side of Retirement Home. So all 3 of these players have experience with this character. Take these options away from them because they will find a way to make it work in their comp.
So now that the Osiris is locked in, you know, you're kind of thinking, well, surely Solo Troll is probably going to find something along the lines of that Bologna that we all, you know, kind of enjoy seeing. But first, it's going to be a Tsukiyomi and an Ares that looked really good on 800 GPM. I think you had a great way of saying it before. Forces the Aegis and the beads just with these 2 first picks. And already a hover from Glurp. I mean, keeping it new, Xbalanque and Agni. Whether or not they lock it in remains to be determined.
I'm curious where these 2 picks are going to be going. I wonder if this is Agni ADC for Tuba and Benny Q might play the Xbalanque mid with the aspect. I think Xbalanque mid is really good right now. I'm not sold on where it should be played just yet. I actually think it might be better in ADC than in mid just because of you can kind of play a little safer over there as Medusa Hecate. We haven't seen Medusa in a hot second here. But Final K is the type to bring out some of these sort of classic ADCs, the Medusas, the Onhers, you know, the older type characters, because Final K's been around for a minute and he's probably likely going to be more comfortable on some of those characters.
I wonder what Medusa is able to do against something like a Jibal or an Agni, depending on where they're going to be laning up against them. Because I feel like both of those characters kind of look at a Medusa and go, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about me? I don't think you got that dog in you. But then you kind of bring Medusa over to a team fight. She presses 4, and you're kind of like, ow, my everything. It hurts. And there's a lot of follow up now for this Ares too, and Tsukiyomi. I kind of, the more I'm looking at it, Book, the more I'm kind of down to have this Medusa and the Hecate there as well. Glurp looked to lock in the Bologna to match with that Osiris. And it looks to be a Ymir as well.
So Osiris likely going to be going to the jungle. Bologna could as well. I think both these characters have great jungle options if they want to. Ymir would be a great lock-in. Speaking of Evil loves this character. And Ymir, I think, is quite solid right now of a pick and does really well against the Retirement Home composition. None of these characters, aside from the Hecate and her ultimate with the little portal, can get around this Ymir wall. So this is a great option here for Glurp if they decide to lock it in. I mean, Retirement Home, man, they had the option. Bologna was available. They've kind of now allowed Glurp to have both of the top 2 warriors in the game right now. Wukong is an option for Retirement Home if they want to go towards it. But I'm curious if maybe Solar Troll is going to lean on something like the Thor, something to just get to the back line, be a hyper carry like he's kind of known for as of late in Smite Prime. I don't know. I feel like Retirement Home may have goofed up just a little bit. I imagine this might be something a little funky. If anyone's going to play something kind of weird and funky, it's going to be Solar Troll. And it could be Tsukiyomi. It could be Tsukiyomi solo. We've seen it before. And this could be the 10th pick Mercury from running around here, potentially.
Yeah, I was kind of, you know, sitting on it a bit and looking, and Tsukiyomi solo might be the play here for Solar Troll, but we know that the Wukong is still in that back pocket. Looked really good the last time I saw him play, and he was going actually crazy, a quadra homicide, if I'm not mistaken, from the hands of the, or rather from the voice of the Morton man. But with this Wukong pick, if it's here, if it's coming, you know, trying to think of how it fits in with everything else, or if it doesn't show up at all. Okay. Baron Sammy
solo. Yeah, that's what I'm leaning on. I think it might be Baron. Look, like I mentioned, if anyone's going to play something weird, it's going to be Sot. Oh, I don't know. You could get really funky with this comp, and if anyone's going to do it, it is going to be Retirement Home. But I think in theory, you look at this comp and you're saying, okay, Zeri support, Medusa ADC, Hecate mid, Tsukiyomi jungle, Baron solo. And I don't know. I'm not sold on this Baron just yet. I do like it as an option because you look at what Glurp have outside the ultimates from the 2 frontliners. of Bologna, Osiris. Oh, actually 3 frontliners. Ymir as well. Ymir kind of has the wall a little bit, so it's a little safer. But all 3 of these characters, as soon as those ults are down, they're getting pulled by Baron ult. And then that can become a prime target for Retirement Home. And they have really good front to back. You asked me kind of, what does Medusa kind of do? Well, she's really good at front to backing. As soon as the target's in front of her, pop the Viper shots and just boom, 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 right into the person in front of you. That's all you got to do. Just front to back. That is what this Retirement Home comp does. Outside of the Tsukiyomi is going to be the question mark for me. How does Running Around decide to pilot this character? Because in theory, the Tsukiyomi wants to be diving onto the backline as much as possible. Maybe Running Around leans a little more towards a tankier build, just goes in onto the Xbalanque Agni and just stands in their faces while the rest of the team kind of deals with this Osiris, deals with this Bologna, because these are kind of the 2 top unkillable picks in the game right now. Osiris going to be difficult to deal with, even if you are Medusa and you go for a full, strength pen build. Bologna as well, really good against the AA. The Hecate Shred is going to help. I think that's a very important part to note, is the blue stance will help quite a bit for Retirement Home.
Well, these are all questions we're going to have a chance to get answered as we jump into the game between Glurp and Retirement Home. It's still Musy, it's still Book, it's still Jithens and Tess and Billy out there behind us. And here, fresh on the map, anything sticking out to you? I mean, we talked a little bit about where Baron fits in. It is going to be that Baron solo for solo or troll.
Yeah, it is. It is going to be Baron solo. That is, again, that is going to be my biggest question mark, is how does Solo or Troll decide to kind of pilot this pick? Because I'm just kind of a little confused by it. Solo or Troll, as of late, has looked so good on these characters that just dives onto the back line, is an absolute unkillable menace, really is in your face. Do want to note, though, actually, I did nail it on the head. Benny Q, X-Ball, Tuba, Agni, we'll touch on that in a moment, but Solo or Troll on the Baron, it's just so different. And this is maybe Retirement Home saying, look, we kind of drafted a little differently here. We're kind of in a tough spot. We gave them Bologna, Osiris. Let's kind of change up our play style, really facilitate for Fine OK to just shred down these 2 frontliners. And that is what the side of Retirement Home have to do, is they have to play to shred Bologna, Osiris, because again, unkillable frontline. Glurp now, and Agni ADC, Xbalanque mid. We kind of mentioned it. Is X-Ball going to be good in the mid lane? Actually, doesn't have the aspect. Just noticed that.
Oh.
But no aspect. I don't know if that must be intentional, right?
I would hope so. Otherwise, Benny's going to pop ult once they hit level 5 and be like, guys, gulp. I appear to have forgotten to toggle something. Well, look at it this way. Glurp's gonna have crazy objective shred. Yeah, they built the death toll. That's a good hover.
They must know.
Tess. So they must know. This is all by design, by plan. So a lot of objective shred to be had between Benny and Tuba, and also the Bologna and the Osiris. I feel like they're gonna stick onto a Gold Fury and just kind of completely shred it away. I'm still a little bit stuck on this solo lane. I'm not gonna lie to you, Book. That's because of my solo lane proclivities. When it comes to this Baron over there in the solo lane, how much are they giving up, like, pressure-wise, do you think? Because I know Firebrands are so important. Can Baron keep up with Bologna in that aspect? Like, I feel like Retirement Home might be in danger.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think, look, Retirement Home, in theory, would love to play towards these elementals on the right-hand side, because Running Around is a split scaler. The elementals are so much stronger for these split scalers than they ever are for just the single style scaler of just full strength or full int. Tsukiyomi being a split scaler, as Solar Troll getting the better end of a trade so far. And don't get me wrong, Baron, once they get an item or two, can just full clear wave. And I think that is what Retirement Home have to play for. They just kind of have to survive this early game, as Valo, left-hand side, looking for an early gank.
There's the dash in from Agni, but Jarkor finds the first blood kill. Trades hit out with Fine OK. Now Jarkor has to try to get away. It looks like Glurp will let them, as it seems Valo made that rotation up that top side of the lane on the left side, and little easy 1-to-1 there between Glurp and Retirement Home.
I like that play. Jarkor trades it out, gets first blood, and so Retirement Home, they get ganked early, sure, and it's it's tough in those instances. Yarkor just has to abandon his carry, let Final K die, but gets the first blood and then survive. So it's a 1-for-1, but favors Retirement Home. Running around gets to spend a little bit more time in the jungle farming it out. The only difference is Valo now has assist gold to their name, so they're a little ahead of running around, but it's still ultimately kind of a wash, favoring a little bit towards Yarkor on this Ares, who does want to get off to a strong early game start. And the sooner Yarkor hits 5, the better it is for Retirement Home, because you look across the way, Benny Q has Aegis, Tuba has Aegis. This Agni with no CC immunity should be pulled on cooldown. I think Speak No Evil is actually rushing the team beads as quickly as he can because he realizes his ADC does not have beads. So Tuba just has to be incredibly careful here in this early game, and I would love to see Yarkor punish that relic option here.
It's a cute little 3-man grouping from Glurp to confirm the Firebrands, as Glurp and Retirement Home, after that initial scuffle on the left side, aren't really quite ready to see more blood on the dance floor. So all is quiet on the Silent Night, but I am with you, Book. The fact that this Agni has Aegis instead of beads also screams out to me like Yarkor should be focusing him on cooldown. Does that mean then that you expect Valo to put more pressure on this dual lane as well, or are Glurp going to be looking to other sections on the map?
I would imagine Valo does just kind of want to gank side lanes, maybe lean towards the left-hand side, because you mentioned it earlier, the objective damage from this team is so strong. They have double Hunter to an extent. They have Bologna. They have Osiris, who also does decent objective damage, going more towards a strength build, so he's going to have solid damage in the early game. So, yeah, I would love to see Valo gank this left-hand side, but can play for the right-hand side. I believe Osiris also a split scaler, so can kind of really prioritize these elementals like we've seen. And Benny Q on this Gibelunke does have mid pressure over the Hecate early, so can get active, can use that pressure to rotate 2 objectives. Yeah, a little bit of split scaling there, and so yeah, fantastic. Osiris wants to prioritize these elementals. Guess who also wants to prioritize the elementals? Benny Q on this Gibelunke, also a split scaler. So Glurp have a ton of options here for who they really prioritize. As Valo goes in looking for Daniel.
Cyrus ult now getting pieced up by the Tsukiyomi. Valo looking pretty low, missing some body parts. It offers him some mitigations, but Retirement Home keeps up the pressure, running around, puts some more damage into Benny Q. Ultimately, no lives are lost, but a couple of ults were used in that scuffle, so Retirement Home will take control of that side camp and call it a day there.
Look, I get it's Osiris early, but I was kind of shocked that Valo went in for that, especially so close to the tower. Left-hand side, though, they're looking for Tuba, but Yarkor can't find the ultimate, though, and so they can't continue this aggression at all.
Yeah, I mean, Medusa kind of let it rip there, but also Speak No Evil threw out that wall, is able to make a lot of space for themselves. Tuba, despite the fact that, again, they have Aegis and no beads, no CC immune ultimate to their name, feel like they have not been experiencing the pressure that's supposed to come with that. Now, it's going to be a Gold Fury pull from Glurp. Then you got Ymir damage, Agni, Osiris joins the party, Rippin ultimate, confirm the first Gold Fury, Sunder pop 2, Glurp pull ahead in gold 6 minutes in. First Gold Fury on the map. It's 1-1 Book, and Glurp earned themselves a small gold lead of about 800 gold.
Retirement Home, they just back both their left-hand side duo lane and the mid 2v2 at the same time there, so they're just off the map entirely, and Glurp take full advantage of it. Early objective going to their way. If you're Retirement Home, though, you're kind of okay with that. That's to be expected. You look at Glurp's comp, they have the early game. They have so much objective burn. Right-hand side.
Looks like Bologna's in a little bit of trouble, forced to use that bead, so luckily they didn't have the Sunder there, but Retirement Home is putting a lot of pressure into these side lanes, as looks like Zav is still trying to put up a fight, but gonna have to give up that blue buff. Actually, Book, as I say that, you could look and see that Benny Q has made the rotation as well. Dash is in on top of running around. Zav looking to give a little bit of chase, but it's just to get them off of their lawn. Glurp are not able to find anything else.
But Retirement Home do manage to steal away that blue buff, I believe. So Zav is just going to have to go without that extra mana sustain on this right-hand side. And with Zav's beads being forced in that instance, while Sot didn't have the ultimate available, now Sot could look to take full advantage of that. Running around also maybe going to repeat gank on this right-hand side, because Zav has gone for the Sanguine Lash first. It's just magical defense. That allows running around to just be all in on this Bellona in the early game, can really try and punish her for that itemization choice. As that is something I kind of love to see, is a jungle that's, you know, one type of damage dealing type and the soul laner that's another. And that makes that, you know, ganking solo option, which I think is more often than not difficult to do, a little bit easier for yourselves. As running around is on this left-hand side for now. Expect to maybe go to the right-hand side when Sot has ultimate.
There's the Tsukiyomi coming up from below. Ares ult, not able to find purchase there.
Ooh.
Between the Cersei's Hexstone and the fact that Agni dashed away? Wait, is he displacement immune in his dash?
I think he might be. He must be, because I thought for a second, speak no evil. Yeah. Have I not known that to be an interaction this entire time? Has Tuba just been, or Agni in general, have displacement immunity? Cersei's Hexstone is great, sure, as Valo finding a kill in the mid lane, trade on the left-hand side, Yarkor in trouble, but Valo dead as well to running around.
Here comes Zav over the wall with the ultimate, but does not look like running around is too concerned. Maybe he should be, taking quite a bit of poke over there in that mid lane. Meanwhile, in dual lane, looks like the Ymir and Agni are forcing some folks out. A rotation from Solo Troll, just aesthetics, just for the funsies, to show that he could do it at any given time. I want to circle back to that Agni. I can't believe I just saw that. That's crazy. But it looks like they're not quite done fighting, as Tuba keeps trying to put in the damage. But fortunately for Retirement Home, they're just a little bit too tanky.
I've been trying to think, like, when have I ever had to interact with an Agni, you know, dash where they're displacement immune? Yes, it can be stunned, but I guess, you know, displacement immunity. Oh, and you can still dash. So that is one thing to know, is Ares recently got a nerf where his ultimate no longer cripples. So yes, displacement immunity on the Path of Flames. Shout out to Tess with that call. Love that. Right hand side though, Zav could be in a bit of trouble. No beads, and Sot and running around are over there.
Yeah, low health bar, dead health bar. Down goes the Bellona as Retirement Home finds another kill. So we're all learning something today, it would seem.
Yeah.
Because what do you mean? So now that really contextualizes why this Agni doesn't have beads. They don't have beads because they don't need beads. Because what else is trying to CC this Agni book? Like, Baron? That's a crazy, crazy IQ play from Glurp team. That's nuts.
And displacement immunity, so you can't get pulled by the Baron ultimate either. So yeah, Tuba's just going to be A-okay. CC immunity on Benny Q's dash, and to an extent Tuba's dash, sure. So who is going to be the one that has to stop Tuba from being safe? It has to be Yarkor with the chain initially, and then maybe Solar Troll can look to punish Tuba with the ultimate. I think it's going to be a sequence of events that gets easier for Retirement Home in the mid to late game when they're kind of grouping as 5. For now, though, Tuba's just going to be safe. There is not a lot Retirement Home can look to do to punish him for going this relic choice as a fight in mid lane is happening.
Forced to pop the Aegis, opens the gates. Can he get there in time? He brings them with him, and ultimately his doom. Valo finds that last bit of damage. Unfortunate for Daniel, just had nowhere that they could go. With the mid laner down, this could open up a Gold Fury for Glurp to pull. We know that they could do the damage to it, and there is a Sunder online for Speak No Evil. Yarkor waiting around near the top there. Gold Fury about down to half. Walks up, starts the ultimate. Can he get the Sunder off? Health bar down. It is stolen by Yarkor. He dies for it, but he doesn't care. Mission accomplished, soldier. You did it.
You mean to tell me you're going to try and outconfirm Yarkor with Sunder? Nice try there, Glurp, as he comes up big for his team. Does trade his life, sure, but that's a worthy cause for Retirement Home. Yarkor with the big Sunder, steal away. Love to see that happen. Daniel, I think in the mid lane didn't necessarily have... Look, the ult was great. Pulls 2 members on the tower. Love that. Great start to that sequence. Immediately follows to teleport. I think he could have held it, but I don't think Daniel expected to pull both members in that instance under the tower. Maybe expected one of them to use a relic of a beads or something. Pulls both members, instantly teleports under the tower to safety, but both of them are there waiting for you. So unfortunate for Daniel. I think he could have spaced that a little bit better, but Yarkor saves the day with that one with that Gold Fury steal.
Now we're looking for a little bit more too. Look at Valo, forced to ult over the wall. Yarkor has the chain on him, but doesn't look like they're able to find anything else. It's a Pyromancer pickup for Retirement Home, as it does seem that Zab kind of loops around from the solo side. Benny Q walks up, pops the ultimate Pyromancer drop. Bologna ults in, open the gates as well. Is not able to find a target though. So Glurp kind of caught with their hands in the cookie jar. There goes the ultimate from Baron, pulls it in. Daniel finds a kill. Final K follows it up, and the damage is everywhere all the time at once. It's a double kill for Akate. The Pyromancer still in play. It's picked up by Tubba. Retirement Home surges forward and finds the kill on top of Benny Q as well. Health bar's low, but it doesn't matter. The Agni stands alone against Retirement Home as these old men have walked up and started walking it down.
Glurp just get too impatient there. Final K was there first, and Tubba was on the way, but they just go in and look at that instance there. Retirement Home have so much AoE damage in such a tight corridor. Hakate ultimate. Solar Troll can just pull so many members there with that ultimate. At some point, Glurp just have to say, okay, speak no evil, walk forward, tank the Baron ultimate. Someone just has to tank that ultimate. And then running around with the ultimate as soon as all the aces are down, because you've used so many cooldowns. Final K's ultimate, Daniel's damage, and then an ultimate. So many cooldowns, so much damage in such a small objective area. As Bomb hasn't been picked up yet, but now will be by Speak No Evil. But just what do Glurp do in moments like that where all their relics get forced early, and then running around gets to do exactly that, run around the team fight and cause havoc? Gets so much impact there with that Suki ultimate.
I mean, if you are Glurp, at the very least, you know, you're able to walk away with the Pyromancer. So kind of like a tit for tat situation. Glurp cleans up a Gold Fury fight, loses Gold Fury. Retirement Home cleans up a Pyro fight, loses Pyromancer. You know, can't have nothing around here, I suppose, but you can have a lot of death and destruction. As we're sitting around 14 and a half minutes so far, Book. I mean, it's 4-7 in favor of Retirement Home. The gold lead, a little less than 2K for Retirement Home as well. And as we kind of move on to the later stages of the map, if you're Glurp, how do you bounce back from such a rough engagement like the one they just had?
I think you're just prioritizing power spikes at this point. You're starting to rotate Zav out towards this next Gold Fury that's due to spawn. But I don't know. I feel like Retirement Home, they're just in such a good spot for how their comp plays. You just saw it there. When they're grouped as 5, they're kind of unkillable, as Yarkor left-hand side could get looked at here, but he's okay for now.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the Yogi's necklace offering quite a bit of health, but still losing half there. Can get a little tricky for this area. He's going to have to try to regen a bit.
Fino?
Looks like there's a bit of a grouping here, too. Speak No Evil taking a bit of poke from Tuba. There's the ultimate from Xbalanque. We're actually arguing around this Gold Fury. Health bar's low. In goes running around, and in comes the damage. Daniel is able to find Valo off the back, but now they are in a tricky situation. Forced to stare down, running around, trying to get away. In dashes Benny Q, gets the damage off, and finds a kill on top of running around the Medusa ultimate as well. Is able to force quite a bit out, but is able to take down Benny Q. Ares ult pulls in one more. Blocked up by your own wall. Tuba's got nowhere to go. Dashes out stage left and is actually able to get away. Speak No Evil uses the boar on top of Final K. Tuba comes back around in the side. It's not enough to save the Gamir, but the Bologna has decided to join the chat and has quite a few things to say, like, please stop hitting my friends, please stop being in my jungle, and maybe get out of here, as Tuba decides that it's time to leave, and both teams are like, sheesh, I do not want to deal with this.
Retirement Home are going to pick up the Gold Fury, though, and look towards it. Valo has respawned. Zav is here as well. No sunder to either of these characters, but Retirement Home aware of it. Decide to back off, leash the objective. Speak No Evil's wall looked a little funky there, but I think it actually worked out to Tuba there. I think they were dead to rights if Final K was able to cast a few autos there, and that's who was walled off in that kind of weird instant. So a great little play there from Speak No Evil. It looked a little funny at first, but I think it was the correct play in that moment as Sod invades the blue buff on the right-hand side. But at the end of the day, look at running around again with that Suki ultimate. Gets so much value in that small area around the Gold Fury pit. Kind of got left out to dry a little bit too long there, and Glurp, you know, were able to respond, I think, really well at the end of the day, and it all comes out in the wash. 10-6 are the kills, and it's now only 1,000 gold lead for Retirement Home, so Glurp still right there in it. And this build that Benny Q has gone for is kind of interesting. It's an auto attack build, but it leans a little more towards the inside of things. The Broggies and the Bracer or the Gibelanke. I love it so far. Gibelanke, one of those characters that does really well with int scaling, even if you don't go towards that aspect, but still is going to have now good attack speed damage as well as good ability damage as well.
I am a little familiar with this build that BennyQ is going. Now that I see that Bracer, I know I heard rumblings of it. BennyQ is a big fan of this build, and the only thing that I worry about it is that it takes a little bit of time to hold that thought, because running around seems to want a piece of BennyQ, but instead is getting jumped on. Extended autos from the Shibboleth, tries to get the damage out, running around, ultimately is forced to slow down and sit down, and they'll have some time to think about it back at the base, but now it's going to be a rotation towards that Pyromancer from Glurp. But like I was saying, Book, the one thing that I worry about, I'm kind of interested on your input. Bracer takes a little bit to fully stack up to get the damage. Does that matter, or is the damage just still kind of goated?
I'm kind of curious. I've heard rumblings as well. I think the Bolas as well as... I'm not sure if it's the 2 that can proc it. I don't think it is the 2. I do believe it's just the Bolas as sought. I'll use that wind sprite to look at Zav in this moment, but I think it's just a bit of poke that's going to occur here. But I think it is the Bolas that can also proc it, so the more AoE damage BennyQ has, the quicker it is going to stack, and he's going to get full value out of it in team fights in particular. So I think it's okay here if you're BennyQ, and I would love to see, you know, really lead into the inside of things. He's going towards the Titan's Bane, I would imagine here, though maybe it's an Ob Shard. I wonder if BennyQ is going to lean full towards an int build, and then go a Nimble Ring last item and kind of get some of that, you know, basic attack damage and life steal from that item. I don't know. I feel like he could go either or and still get good value. The next item that is purchased will determine kind of what his next couple of items are going to be. Is it going to be the Titan's Bane? Is it going to be the Ob Shard? And depending on whichever he goes for is the build he'll lean towards. Sock in trouble on this right-hand side.
Life of the party is forced out, pulls in a couple underneath the tower. I do not think they mind, because Zav and Valor are just kind of hanging out, but Solar Troll still fairly healthy and is able to get a little bit more healing. Tuba around the side. There's the ultimate from the Bellona too, and down goes Solar Troll. Lockdown, as it were. Final K is kind of winning around the corner, but is not quite interested in that mess. But with 3 people over in solo side, this does open the mid T1 to be looked at from Retirement Home. They'll be able to take a bite out of crime in that regard. So a kill for a T1 tower, you know, it could be worse, it could be better.
Solar Troll just had no idea that Tuba had TP'd on over to that right-hand side. Final K tried to follow up, but just couldn't get there in time. And we've got our answer. BennyQ has gone towards the Titan's Bane, so going to lean towards more of the strength options as the game goes on, as Glurp are going to pull this objective here 20 minutes in, and it should go down pretty quickly.
6k health. Up walks Hardcore. He stole it once. Can he steal it again? You do have Daniel winning around in the back there too, but it doesn't look like Retirement Home is ready to commit. The Gold Fury will fall in favor of Glurp, as now Retirement Home kind of lurking around that right side jungle. Want to see if they can find Zav and force them to walk up just a little bit closer, but still, looks like both teams are backing off for now.
I like that call from Yorkor, because if you decide to go for that Gold Fury and you get it, even if you do get it and die, there's so much gold on the map that Glurp can then look towards. You get the tier 1 on the left-hand side, probably can force the tier 1 in mid. Pyromancer spawning here soon. Fire Giant is available. There's so much that Glurp can use off of a single pick that I like that call from Yarkor. We're not here. We're not in position. Give the objective. We'll be here to respond to the rest of the map. You want to note, though, Final K's build is a different one. One we don't see often. It's the full strength build. It's Barb Carver, Crusher, Heartseeker on the Medusa. It's just going full strength for the Medusa. And it's not bad, but
Viper Shot?
I don't know. I kind of wonder, like, is it going to work out? You're against 3 frontliners, so you kind of want to be leaning towards more of those kind of yellow number pen options, the Odie bows, the kin size even, honestly, against this composition. The Titan's Bane obviously will be bought anyways, but just more of those kind of auto attack shred options. Even if you are against a Bellona, I still like that you kind of lean on that pen option. This tells me though, Final K is going to rely heavily on his ultimate to just get good damage off the immediate CC. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm a big fan of it because Retirement Home, they're going to struggle to pull objectives like they're going to do right now and take the objective as it is going down decently quick and Valo isn't here.
Just before this, Retirement Home was able to find a Pyromancer, so that they're going to have an extra bomb in pocket for this FG pull. Right as I say that, though, they let it go. Looks like the real goal here might be to try to find a fight. Open the gates. There it is. A big silence here for the inside. Big grouping. Daniel let's rip the ultimate. Pulls it a lot. But Zav finds Solar Troll in the back. Here comes running around's ultimate. Is able to find Benny Q. And the Ares ultimate as well. There's the Sanguine Lash and a Talisman. So no Ares ultimate for you, my friend. 3 dead on the side of Retirement as Glurp completely turning around on top of them. Daniel and Fine OK still very healthy, but Glurp not quite ready to take a look at an FG. It's going to be a reset from them.
Only Benny Q dies, and Tuba does have some auto attack to damage to his name. They could look to pull the Fire Giant once they get back up on the map. But I don't know, Retirement Home, again, this build from Final K, it makes it so difficult to kill frontliners. You know, Zav is going to be unkillable. Valo, even though they've gone more damage, the damage route of things still has some defense. The Berserkers, the Ancile in pocket here. Gonna be impossible to kill him. Speaking of Evil is gonna have a free time as a Ymir when Ymir arguably is one of the targets that Retirement Home should be able to pick off out of the 3. But I don't know if they will. There's just not enough damage here from Retirement Home yet. Once they get to late game, once they get to level 20 and they finish their builds, the game does get easier for this style of play. They just gotta get there though, and I don't know if Glurp are gonna let them do that. They have 2 golds to their name. They'll likely kind of wait for the 3rd one here that's due to spawn fairly shortly here. And Retirement Home, they can't do an objective in the meantime like Fire Giant because they don't have the best DPS to do it. So you're just kind of sitting on your hands if you're Retirement Home. You're waiting for Glurp to kind of make a mistake and really mess up here.
Between Glurp and Retirement Home, 24 minutes. About to cross the 25. Benny Q forced to dash away. The wall there from Speaking Weevil makes a little bit of space too. It's 11-11 so far. 3k gold lead for Glurp. Couple of Gold Furies on their side too. You got one for Retirement Home. Ancient Gold Fury is available on the map as well as Fire Giant. And we know that Retirement Home, like you were saying, Book, can't really just pull something in front of Glurp's face. They're not going to be able to sneak something as big as that FG, so it feels like they're going to be playing a lot for that bait to engage around these objectives, but the fight we just saw, too, that did not work out for them that well. So what needs to change from Retirement Home? Because I feel like that was a near-perfect setup before.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was just going to go their way. Solar Troll with a great ultimate here. I like this, though. They're grouping as 5 early, and they're trying to find a pick around the objective in side lanes in particular. But they can't find anyone just yet.
Not quite there. Damage being exchanged. Bologna ults in. Jibble long gate 2. There's the Medusa ultimate, but the damage is not enough to even force the health bars of Glurp down. In fact, Retirement Home is getting shredded away. Benny Q lays in the auto attacks. Sharkor will be the first one to fall as they soak up every last bit of damage that Glurp puts out there. Now we move the fight underneath the tier 1 tower. Open the gates, is not able to find purchase. In fact, Benny Q dashes in on top of the Tsukiyomi. Can't get the ult out in time, and now Solar Troll will be next on the chopping block. Boom goes the dynamite. Boom goes a double kill, and Retirement Home surge forward. But Daniel and Fine OK once again still full health bars, but no ultimates on the board for anybody except Speak No Evil. It's gonna be the call for the Fire Giant, but they're all pretty low.
I think they should still be able to get it. No ultimate from Daniel, no ultimate from Fine OK. And how do you kill Zav on this front line? Benny Q's still full HP as well. They're looking for the stun. Gonna force Fine OK's beads. He has to run away to safety, but then goes Zav.
Bologna ultimate over the wall, not able to find purchase. Fire Giant still under duress. Charging ultimate is the Ymir. It's confirmed by Valo. The dagger picked up by Zav, walled off as the rest of Retirement Home. So Glurp walk away with the FG and start picking up this Queen Naga, but Fine OK still aggressively positioning, maybe trying to convince Glurp to stand back as they find their Queen Naga, begin the back. So now Retirement Home will settle for a Pyromancer.
I mean, man, we talked about it in draft, just how much this retirement home composition really gets ruined by Ymir wall. In that instance on the right-hand side, Yarkor gets Ymir walled in, can't really get away right away, just takes so much damage. Immediately then, Glurp go in. Solar Troll gets a decent ultimate to try and pull members back in, but just the displacement immune dashes keep Benny-Q and Tuba alive. And the fight just is a wash after that for Retirement Home. Glurp just surged forward. It's so tough for Retirement Home to fight back. They're too far behind to an extent at this point now. Fire Giant going the way of Glurp, and now a Gold Fury as well. This gold lead's starting to get a little out of control for the side of Glurp. And this team, man, looks so good as a 5-man unit. They are just playing so well together, all on the same page of things, of where they need to be positioned, who can go in first, who then follows up, the walls to kind of keep members alive, zone off certain members on the enemy side, but also, you know, trap in key targets. It's been just so good as a unit from Glurp, as Final K split pushing on the right-hand side, just trying to find whatever farm he can, as Solar Troll could get caught mid here.
There's the Bologna ultimate. Solar Troll trying to make some distance, walk towards Benny Q. That is not what you want to see. Tries the ultimate, but to no avail. Well, it'll be back up by the time he respawns. 50 seconds as Glurp with this Ancient Gold Fury debuff start running it down that mid lane. T2 tower on the right side, the only one left there, but it's going to be the mid bird that Glurp wants to look at. A couple of engage tools available. There's the Xbalanque ult. There's Ares, tries to bore in, but Tally is popped. It denies Yarkor their ultimate, so now Retirement Home are down one more tool as Glurp continuously walks forward. Bird down to half. Looks like Tuba forced to dash away as well. Meanwhile, in the left side, Valo starts a split push game of their own, putting some pressure on that bird. Hopefully opens up an opportunity for Glurp, because now running around has to go to acknowledge it. In goes Osiris, who is just not taking any damage. The rotation from the rest of Glurp, a good freeze from Speak No Evil, walls them off, and running around, forced to use their Aegis, and is dead. Was not able to find anything there. Ult in from Osiris. Valo is not caught. Looks like the Ymir was forced to ult there too. And there's the Medusa ult, which catches a 3-man stun, but it's walled off by the Ymir. Unfortunate, Yarkor left all by himself too. So now Glurp walk away with the mid and the left Phoenix and a couple of kills and feeling really good about themselves.
Man, what a wall from Speak No Evil. Final K with a 3-man ultimate, just keeping everyone in place there, and there's just no follow-up because there's a Ymir wall in the way. There's no way they can get the damage off, and now they're looking for more as Zap goes in.
Did so much damage, and they are immediately dead. Benny Q finds Solar Troll. Daniel falls as well. Final K left all by himself. Guys, we were supposed to clear minions, and that was it. Now Glurp, take a look at that Titan. Here goes the Medusa, the dash, the damage, Viper shot, not enough. Deleted is he, shut down. And the Titan 2. Down goes Retirement Home. Glurp is moving on.
This Ymir has got to be prioritized either in the picks or the bans. Speak No Evil looks so good on this character, and it just does so much in team fights. And the in-betweens, the small little intricacies, the zoning off certain members, keeping certain members alive. I loved Speak No Evil on that pick so far. It has to be looked at in the picks and bans, I think.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy what this Ymir was able to do. Really exciting. So I'm going to sit down and take a breather. Hey, you guys should do the same. We're going to be right back after a little bit of a break. And welcome back, gamers. We are, in fact, so back with a little bit more Smite Prime for you once again. My name is Musy, joined here by Spirited Book, General Jithins, Tass Almighty Eye in the Sky, basically Billy making sure that everything is running smoothly for us. And we've got a little bit more coming at you, but before we look to the future, we're going to take a quick look to the past. Book, go ahead and break down that game for me.
I mean, it was just a back and forth in the early game. I loved what Retirement Home were able to do with this, you know, so much AoE, so much damage out of their team. Yarkor with a fantastic Gold Fury steal, but Glurp just, I feel like their comp was just better. Speak No Evil on the Ymir was just absolutely insane. This wall in particular that we thought looked a little funny. Final K was dashing on the Medusa to try and kill Tuba in that moment, and Speak No Evil with this Ymir wall, I believe, sacrifices himself here, but for a worthy cause. Yeah, Final K, sure, but man, just these Ymir walls were insane. This engage looked so good from Retirement Home. I can't believe this fight just doesn't go their way. at the end of the day, just sends Zav back into, I think, the distance. And that's what made it a little bit more difficult for Retirement Home at the end of the day. They couldn't really lock down the Bologna as their target that they were initially looking at. And that's because I think Daniel sent them away.
For as much CC as Retirement Home had, it felt like Glurp always had the answer in pocket, be it CC Immune Ultimates, a Talisman of Purification for Speak No Evil. Later in the game, Yarkor, was just not able to find any kind of purchase with these ultimates. That wall there, too, was actually ridiculously crazy from Glurp. It actually stops them from getting totally turned on from Retirement Home. And then, unfortunately, a couple of folks from the Retirement Home get caught out and escorted back to their rooms. It leaves Fido KL alone and ends up giving Glurp the win.
If I'm clocked in, and that's who Glurp are going to be going up against in this next fight, I believe, or no, Smite 2 Bad Boys are facing, no, Smite 2 Bad, or no, Societe, because Societe won a bit ago. But Glurp, this Ymir has to be looked at here. It has to be looked at because it was just disgusting from Speak No Evil. Cersei's Hexstone first to avoid the Ares pulls, which I thought was a great pickup. Doesn't need to go Team Beads that early because apparently both, Benekyu has a CC immune dash, sure, but apparently Tuba's displacement immune in the Agni, which I still just had no idea. It's just something that never came across in any of my games. I didn't imagine that was the case, but what a performance from this Glurp roster as a whole. Just the 5-man sort of squad roaming about the jungles, looking for plays, the walls, just so many great plays from this team.
We're going to take a quick look at the bracket coming at you to see how the day has been going so far. A little smooth transition there. So we have in the semifinals Societe versus Glurp and Clocked In versus Strength of Wood. So far looking pretty good. I know, Book, earlier you mentioned that Societe was one of those teams that was definitely fighting to get their top 8 spot. So look good to see them making that progression so far, but to see them go up against Smite 2 Bad Boys and win, pretty impressive. You know what else is impressive? The fact that you, yes, you, viewer out there in the stands, could win a misdiagnosis Neath skin. All you got to do is go to twitch.tv/Smite Prime. Go ahead and chat in there. Say #giveaway. Maybe throw in an extra Musi is really cool and handsome. I heard that gives you extra entries. It doesn't, but maybe it'll help your odds. But be sure to do that. It doesn't work in the Smite game chat. You have to do it in the Smite Prime chat. So go over there, plug in your #giveaway, and then come right back, because I know the Smite game chat has got all the coolest chatters. So you gotta kind of pick your function and figure out where you want to be and what you want to do.
Yeah, and look, Societe might want to go into the twitch.tv/Smite Prime chat and type #giveaway themselves, because they must be feeling really good today after their win over Smite 2 Bad Boys.
We're going to take a look at the picks and bans coming at you for the next game, as we are here in the semifinals, Clocked In and Strength of Wood. And I'm excited personally to see this matchbook, because I got a chance to see Strength of Wood when they first were a team, but they haven't had a chance to grace us on the big screen very frequently, and now we get to see them up against Clocked In, who, like you had said before, Paul is back in the saddle again, back in the driver's seat for Clocked In, so I imagine this gives a big morale boost and a huge player boost for Clocked In.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, Paul is just Paul, and he's going to show up, big time for his teams always, and so it's just the X factor at the end of the day for Clocked In. Strength of Wood, they've looked really good. We got to watch one of their games last week as well, and it was a pretty solid performance from members like Snatty on the Thor solo, and I feel like this is a team that can be competitive against this Clocked In roster, but just continues, I think, to struggle against some of these top-end teams, like the Smite 2 Bad Boys, like the Clocked Ins of Smite Prime. So I think this is a big test for Strength of Wood going into week number 4. Can they pull off the upset here against this Clocked In roster before the closed bracket here? And already off the table, Bologna going to be taken away from Snatty, Aladdin as well from NMR, to comfort picks for I think both these two characters, and then Jingwei obviously going to be taken away from Hydrogen.
Yep, and then the Yamoja as well. So Happen won't be able to fall back on that. There's still the Osiris pick that's out there and available. I know that's kind of the talk of the town right now. But beyond that, I feel like there's still a few things for Clocked In to look for. I know Merlin's going to be one for Paul as well. Hakate, two very powerful mages that I think we haven't seen them win today, but we have seen them do quite a bit of damage, I think, too, especially you think about how Daniel was moving on that Hakate, just a crazy amount of damage that they were doing. So still very relevant, still very good picks. The Agni's there. Well, it used to be there. Not anymore. It's gone now. Decided to axe that, and it's going to be the Osiris first pick lock-in for Clocked In, which does leave open a few tasty tidbits for Strength of Wood.
I'm not sold that this Osiris is going to be going over to Karmic just yet. I think this might be a Tegvir lock-in. It's obviously a flex for now, but Tegvir is the type to pull out some of these more bruisery type junglers. Tegvir known for the Achilles that just kind of is in your face doing tons of damage. Osiris can kind of fit that playstyle as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is a flex potential here between those two players. Across the way, so there's no Bologna option here. Does Snatty lean on the Thor as the option here? Going to look to dive the backline here, create space, and just be a menace. Doesn't necessarily have to be picked right now, but Baron Samedi going to be the first lock-in for Strength of Wood. You got to imagine that's a takeaway here from Happen, who loves this option in the support role. Question is, who's going to take it? Is it going to be Snatty, Tempo, or Kaidon that decide to take it? And Kieka likely going to be rocking the Uller in the AD carry role.
So already a lot of CC to be had between things like Axe, like Wrap It Up, Life of the Party, and more than a fair amount of damage. It's the old 1-2 punch. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Tempo, Kieka, Baron Samedi Uller combination here, just because I feel like the lockdown potential is fairly significant with a dual lane like that. But of course, the Baron not very mobile, which I think ends up biting it in the butt more than a couple of times. So Clocked In moving forward as they think about what they want to be able to pick in response, try to keep that in the back of their minds.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what is open here that the likes of Clocked In want to prioritize here. Karmic is one of those Jormungandr players, but I don't think Strength of Wood are going to look to prioritize that too much, so you can kind of hold off on that. It's going to be a Scylla and Achilles lock in here. Happen loves this Scylla option here. We kind of don't see Scylla as much as of late. She's either being banned or oftentimes not being picked at all. Happen still loves this character, though, and is going to pick it up. And Achilles lock in tells me that Tegvir will be playing that, and Osiris will be going over to the solo lane. Strength of Wood respond with Kaidon Merlin, and I have a bit of a bone to pick with Merlin as of late. We don't see him a lot as much anymore since the Polynomicon nerf, and I am curious to see if Kaidon decides to lean on that item like Merlin was kind of previously known to do. I think he's going to kind of stray away from it potentially and lean more on just a full int build and kind of go full damage, maybe a Totem of Death earlier on. I think the poly nerfs really hurt how you played this character previously, and I think you need to play him a little differently now. Lean more on the Deso earlier for more int as an option here. Thor is the lock-in here, and I do believe that's going to go to Snatty, and I'm looking at the Strength of Wood comp, and it's very squishy so far. Would like to maybe see, something a little more tanky, but I think it might just be a full 5-man squishy composition, if I'm being honest.
Looks like Giannis and Honor is the hover here for Clocked In. We know that Paul still a big fan of that Giannis as well. Granted, Paul kind of similar state with Benny Q. How are you going to ban him out? Right, Paul especially. How are you going to ban out Paul? Good luck. So on a very mobile pick like this, Giannis, a lot of damage to be had with this character too. That'll be interesting to see just how far they can push that on her as the lock in here for Hydrogen, because of course the Jingwei is gone, so you're going to fall back to all reliable. But that is a lot of frontline between the Osiris and the Achilles, and I feel like Scylla can play ball and hang out with the two tough guys up there, right? I feel like Scylla is the guard dog for the Achilles and the Osiris. Like, the guard dog privileges lies with the little monster girl.
Yeah, so I love this composition that Clocked In have kind of gone for. On her being the third choice that Hydrogen often goes towards once Jingwei and Agni are off the table, and kind of fits with what Clocked In want to do. Clocked In want to be playing forward. Scylla wants to be dashing in the faces of Strength of Wood. Look for those roots, the AoE roots, Tegvir wants to be getting in there, looking for these stuns, and then Yanis and Onher can kind of play from a distance and then kind of go more all-in style. Onher's going to be in your face, throwing out those spears. Yanis, with that through space and time, wants to get him off from a distance and then go in with the unstable vortexes. Loved what this clocked in comp is so far. Strength of Wood round out their draft with the Ymir. So it's Baron solo, I want to say. Going to be Thor in the jungle, and then Ymir support, and then Merlin mid, Uller ADC. I think that's what makes most sense to me for Strength of Wood, but a lot of these characters can flex to different roles. Does it get a little funky? I would say no. That makes most sense to me. There's a lot of lockdown on this Strength of Wood composition so far.
A lot of walls, a lot of flexible geometry, I think, as Dilo would say, to be able to kind of change how the map functions in these team fights. So maybe something like a Shell or a Helm of Darkness for Clocked In. Maybe not for Osiris. I mean, he should be able to walk through those player-made walls once he... Oh no, he when he loses the bits and pieces, not a thing. He's literally
no, he does.
see-through book. Oh, he does.
Yeah,
thank you.
He does.
I was losing it. I was like, but I can see through him, Book. He's got to be able to. So, Osiris should be okay in that regard. But that does leave, the Achilles especially is what I'm kind of worried about, where he's going to get caught up in there. Luckily, Onher, Scylla should be able to sneak out and sneak away. But maybe a Shell, maybe not,
I think if anyone is going to pick it up, it's going to be Tegvir on the Achilles. He really is the only one that gets locked down by these walls. Yanis, I think, wants to go to the beads. Onher can maybe go towards Aegis, but I can't really imagine what you're Aegising entirely on this Strength of Wood comp. I think it's a beads angle for both these two carries, and you're just, using them for the Thor wall in particular. I think that is what Strength of Wood need to look at. It's this Thor wall as their initiation.
Well, we are good for games, so we're going to go ahead and jump in. It's semifinals here in Smite Prime between Clocked In and Strength of Wood. Still a best of one, so you got to give it your all in this final moment. Taking a quick peek out there over on the landscape. Book, you were correct. Snatty going to be rocking that Baron solo, and Tempo and Kyoka there with the Ymir Uller in the dual lane.
Osai aspect, though, is what Carmack is going to be rocking over in the solo lane, and not entirely sure how this fits in terms of a soul lane dynamic. Usually I see a lot of mids and like more damage rolls lean on this Osiris aspect that Carmack has gone for, and just kind of allows him to be a little more safer when he's looking to all in someone. It also means he's going to have that passive up a lot more often. So yeah, you can kind of see his abilities consume his fragments instead, and just, games plus percentage damage dealt or damage mitigated based on how whole he is. So again, just continuing to be more tanky more consistently. I like this idea if you're Karmic, having that passive up more often, especially because you mentioned it, the walls on the other side of Strength and Wood. It's going to be just a little bit easier for Karmic to, I think, maneuver through these fights.
Definitely something he's going to want and need. A little bit of shouting in the mid lane between Kaidon and Paul, as so far everything is kind of chill, everything's kind of quiet, but the ruckus is going to start eventually, Book. And when that ruckus starts, where is that going to be, do you think?
I imagine it might be around this mid 2v2, because check it out. Tegvir just stole the red buff. He started on the enemy red buff and then bounces back towards his own red buff. He now has this left-hand side jungle clear. This is going to allow him to hit level 2 and level 3 first before NMR ever does. And with the blink that Tegvir has gone for, I imagine it's either going to be an early side lane gank or an early mid 2v2 gank, and maybe look to play aggressive onto Kaidon, because you don't really have too many other options. Maybe you look for tempo on this Ymir, because he's the most immobile on the enemy team against Strength of Wood. Yeah, so maybe it's the Baron as well. Those are two options. I think it's one of these two frontliners if you're the side of Tegvir.
And Tegvir 2 is going to be sitting with this blink that we're very used to seeing this Achilles have, because they're kind of rocking with that Lernium Bow build too. Blink in, shield bash, pop off a little bit of damage, a little bit of exchange of damage in that mid lane, but still nothing quite yet. So until we see these rotations from Tegvir, Hydrogen jumps in, hold on, gets the pin. A freeze though from Tempo, pulls him off, so still no blood yet.
Jungle relics were traded though in that mid 2v2, and Paul gets, I believe, one of those oracles there, so he's in a good spot after that. But yeah, NMR no beads and Tegvir no blink now, so the Achilles early aggression gets stunted just a little bit, but already this left-hand side clocked in. Just so much pressure over here with this Scylla on her combo. We don't see on her a whole lot as of late, and this is kind of one of those picks that I think does decently well into the Uller in particular with the help of that CC and ultimate, and can just kind of stand and continue to fight through the damage that Uller wants to do. Not a lot of ADCs can kind of do that, so I like this pickup that Hydrogen has really gone for here in the Uller, or sorry, in the on her into the Uller, as Snatty getting aggressed on the right-hand side.
Aegis is popped. Just barely. Oh, Karmic threads the needle and lands that sickle. It's going to claim themselves a first blood there. 4 clocked in. Tegvir did make that rotation over to the side lane, so already off of sealing that red buff at the start of the game. Now they've got an assist in their pocket. Feels pretty good to be Achilles right now.
Yeah, for sure. And look, this is allowing Paul to just have early pressure as well in mid to an extent, as Kaidon will actually clear first, but Tegvir should hit level 5. This is going to allow him to potentially look for a repeat invade if he wants to. You see Karmic level 5 as well. Should have pressure on this right-hand side. Yanis, no, not the best in terms of, invades. Kind of wants to be there secondary with that through space and time, as left-hand side Hydrogen happened. They're looking for an invade of their own here. Going to take this purple buff away as Karmic kills Snatty on the right-hand side.
Yep, there it is, that level 5 you said. Meanwhile, jumping over the wall is Kiyaka, beats Force, and through space and time, gets on her out, but he's body blocked by Kaidon! He can't get out! He's stuck! And now he'll have a chance to reflect on his actions as he sits in the black and white. Paul now forced to use their beads, NMR putting pressure on with this Thor, but you're standing next to a wall, so the Yanis is able to get away. But like you said, Book, we got a chance to see everything there that happened in duo, but solo, the rotation, the double dip from Tegvir, you can see Karmic use their ultimate. That level 5 was just so critically important.
Yeah, for sure. And this Osiris is going to be in a really good spot. Across the way, though, Kaidon with a great rotation to this left-hand side. Got there first before the Yanis, and this is kind of what Kaidon wants to do. He has a little bit better early clear over Paul in this mid lane. So expect him to kind of try and rotate first, make plays first before Paul can rotate with through space and time. Great body blocks as well to get that kill to their name. So Strike the Wood on the board, but look at the gold lead already clocked in with the help of these kind of invades, is amassing themselves a small gold lead, only 5 minutes in, but it's still, around 1,500 in their name to their name.
So it's funny that the character that we would expect to be able to make these rotations is actually getting out-rotated by what a lot of people would kind of refer to as like a less mobile character, this Merlin. So what is kind of the response from Paul? Are you just like power farming until it's time to ult over?
I think Paul just, wants to get a couple items online, wants to get a lot of his damage online, because Yanis is definitely more of a scaling character than, say, Merlin is. Merlin can kind of make an impact in this mid game, and already Kaidon not going towards the Polynomicon first, leaning more towards the cooldown. I like this. NMR in the sky, though.
Looking for a target. Lands down. He finds it, and the damage is good. Tegvir cannot survive. Kaidon laid it on thick there, too. So down goes Tegvir, and Snatty actually ends up dying again over in that solo lane, soloed by Karmic. So you could see too, Karmic's got that life binder that offers just a lot of sustain. So this build for Karmic with this aspect book, what is this going to transform into? I'm so curious.
I imagine it might just be more of a hybrid int build towards Karmic, kind of like almost the Jormungandr build that we see. The Triton's Conch early, the Helm of Radiance. I'm curious if we'll see just a lot of kind of mid items, but also some, some int items kind of flavored in. Not full int items, but, hybrid items kind of flavored in here and there for Karmic. Especially because just how tanky he already is with that passive always being up until he uses abilities. I really like this idea. Now 3-0 on the Osiris already, proving that he can make an impact and just be a lane bully on this right-hand side. Going into the mid game, this Osiris is going to be scary for the likes of Kieka to deal with, especially because it's an Uller. He doesn't deal with these sort of unkillable tanks really well. So I don't know. I don't know if Strength of Wood really are going to have an answer
And
for
again,
this Osiris for a hot minute.
solo lane again ganked by Tagveer. Karmic now sitting 4-0. The lane bully character continues to take the lunch money of Snatty. Dude, he's got to eat, man. You got to be able to give him something. How's he going to take the bus home? You took that too. Karmic's like, I don't care. Walk without shoes. I'm having them. So I feel like Snatty at this point too, because just has to take like 3 steps back and maybe some camping supplies, because you are not allowed to leave your lane at all. Uh-oh.
I think there's a
Hold on,
world lane swap has happened.
Phew. They're okay, Bo. It's all good. Tempo.
Are they?
Are they? I feel like this is a lot of slap happy duo lane nonsense until mom or dad ends up rotating over.
Yeah, just going back, I think there's a world you lane swap Snatty into mid lane. You put Kaidan in the right-hand side because he's a little safer and can kind of clear a little better as Hydrogen gets looked at here, but it's just tempo. But NMR is around the corner here.
So we're all kind of watching and waiting for somebody to press that big red button too. You did have NMR kind of chilling around. They have the ultimate, but they're going to choose to back off instead.
Tempo looking here though. For Hydrogen or Happen who are in the air. It feels like we're just like waiting, like at a moment's notice something could happen, and exactly that. Paul gets looked at here by NMR. Gets his beads forced.
And there it is. Now Tempo's eating a Scylla ultimate. Kyuka trying to land some damage in response, but Hydrogen finds the last bit of damage with their ultimate. In jumps the Uller on top of Happen, pops the Aegis, gets it, but Hydrogen is able to clean it up. A double kill for the on her, but it costs the life of Happen. Meanwhile, in the solo lane, Karmic is actually just bullying Baron Samdi. Ult underneath the tower, soaking up the shots. He quite actually doesn't care. Karmic walks away and says, this is fine. I can deal with this. That opens up an opportunity for Clocked In to take a look at the Gold Fury off of that double kill that they found in duo. Karmic, are you going to kill him or not? Look at him. Get him. It's a sickle. You can do it. But between a couple of Lifebinders book, I don't think it's going to happen. Gold Fury is confirmed by Clock Fury.
Shoutouts to Clocked In, and they're just, yeah, making plays across the map there. I love this so far. The 2v2 in duo works out. Hydrogen gets 2 kills to his name. Right-hand side, Karmic is still bullying out Snatty. And in mid as well, you know, Paul and Tagveer, they're not, you know, they're the kind of the two that can't look for plays just yet. The Yenis can kind of rotate out and make plays in silence, sure, but these two can't make a lot of plays in the mid 2v2 with just these two, especially because Paul needs to scale a little bit. Has 2 items completed, that CDR online already, Chronos Pendant, Gem of Focus. Now just needs to work on some high power items to his name, and that's when a lot of the Yenis damage will really start to come through with these unstable vortexes and through spaces and times. Expect that to be the avenue of which Clocked In really start to force their lead around a lot of these objectives. Though granted, they've already got themselves the first Gold Fury. They're in a great spot. They scale really well, and they've gotten themselves the first neutral objective that's important to pay attention to.
About 10.5 minutes here. 6-3 in favor of Clocked In. They are also sitting with a bit of a gold lead. Call it about maybe shy of 3,000 gold there. Math is hard. I'm not great at it. I do, I do little dice rod math. What's 6 plus 6? 12. Boom. Strength of Wood sitting in this position where they're down, but I don't feel like they're quite out yet, Book. Just because we talk a little bit about scaling and how well Paul's going to be able to scale, how well everybody else on Clocked In can too. I feel like Kaidan has the potential too. We're Thor ulting. Looking for Paul. Just shy. Cannot land it. Forced to hammer away. Unfortunate from NMR.
Yeah, Paul just able to space it appropriately. I'm not sure if he knew that NMR was in the sky or not due to render distance in that moment, but still just able to play just out of range in that moment. NMR still looking as Hydrogen's looking on this left-hand side.
Tempo forced to use ultimate. There's the Scylla monster as well. Tempo gets eaten up by Hydrogen. But now, maybe a little bit of a comeback from Strength of Wood. NMR throws the wall out, and the hammer too, but Happens just a little bit too tanky. They've got the Breastplate of Valor, plus that Lifebinder. So this jungler is not going to be able to do much of anything to this Scylla. So Clocked In find their kill and then just kind of walk away.
Yeah, and that's kind of what this team wants to do. They want to try and all in one person, then kite back, kind of take their time, wait for the important cooldowns, then go back in. But I do want to know, you mentioned Strength of Wood not really being out of it, and that's mostly due to the fact that they have these playmaker type characters. You know, the Thor with the big ult says left-hand side, though. Hydrogen diving under the tower looking for Kieka.
Down they go. Rest in peace, Kieka. We'll miss you. Tempo shows up, but to what? You know, to the corpse of a friend and memories lost. It's going to be mid lane where all the action actually is, because it looks like Tegvir trying to make something happen there, but still nothing quite yet. You can see NMR took a healthy chunk of damage, but doesn't result in any kills.
Oh, speaking of taking a healthy chunk of damage, Snatty again just low on this right hand side.
Snatty
Really cannot play this lane at all here. Tegvir hovering as well. This tier 1 tower should go down fairly soon now that that wave is pushing in. Kaidon and NMR are here, but they might be in trouble.
Yep, there's the Thor wall. Hammer out as well, so now NMR's gonna get chased down. They're actually forced up into the sky. They make it, and Snatty is here as well. Karmic very low, life of the party. Comes out, pulls in Karmic, and Tegvir shut down before they can land there. Execute Paul. Has to make space for himself and get out of dodge. Strength of Wood still showing that there's some life left in them. As Happen tries to dash after NMR, the root's off the mark, and so is the Crush. So Thor dances between all the lines and is able to get out of there.
Kaidon and NMR just make such an impact, and even Snatty, so far behind with that ultimate, is still able to make an impact. And we kind of mentioned it. Yeah, these characters scale decently well, and Clocked In, they're ahead and they scale a little bit better. But Strength of Wood, they have these playmaker characters. Baronalt will always be impactful. Will either force speeds, force people to kind of dash away, or pull people in and stun them in that moment. And Snatty does exactly that. NMR is there with that Thor ultimate, still able to make an impact. The wall as well to force beads, and that is what the initiation from Strength of Wood kind of has to be. It's these stuns from a distance into just either a clean pick target where you're rotating all of your Merlin and Uller abilities in that moment's notice to try and pick a target, as Tempo steals that away.
Yeah. Free Queen knock there for Strength of Wood. No Sunder, no, he just got that with that Glacial Strike. He just walked up and took it. All right.
Wow.
Shout out to Ymir.
Just that simple, just that easy for Tempo. And this Ymir, it has struggled for a bit now in this game so far. You've seen, you know, Happen consistently out-rotate Tempo to this left-hand side, rotate mid, and Tempo's just kind of struggled to be where he needs to be. That is where, you know, Tempo can make an impact. It's through these walls. It's kind of, you know, being there first and dictating where the team for Strength of Wood needs to play. NMR up and looking on this left-hand side, but already Happen far and away.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're able to find anything. In fact, Tempo seems to be the one that's caught out, forced to take the wind spread away. Thor wall buys a little bit of space, but Happen chases after them. Clocked In. I've kind of scattered Strength of Wood a little bit, but still not able to find anything off of it. Unless you find something in that mid lane. Like you said, Kaidon through the portal, down he goes. Should have had the boots of no fall damage. Unfortunately, they did not. So with Kaidon dead, Clocked In continue to look in this mid lane.
Musi, do you mean boots of feather falling?
No, I was thinking of the ones from Portal 2 specifically.
Okay.
But I forgot what they were.
That's fair. Mid lane is going to be taken here by Clocked In, and this is just because of, you know, a bit of a miscommunication. You see NMR go up around the Gold Fury pit as they're looking for a play. Two-man wall there.
Two-man wall, but the damage, the follow-up just wasn't quite there because Kaidon, unfortunately, is still very dead. Hydrogen jumping in. A little bit of a 1v1 action in the dual lane. There's the ultimate, and there's the pin against the wall. Down goes Kieka. A rampage for this Lion. And the life of the party pulling Karmic beads his pop. Snatty, did you want this fight? I'm starting to think maybe you didn't. Karmic happy to take it. Will solo in the side lanes.
Karmic spaces that beads perfectly to just kind of hold out Snatty's ultimate till he's right next to him. Pop that 3 a little early so he'll get those mitigations and that stun. NMR, I believe he's going up to the sky here, trying to contest this gold.
He's got the Sunder in pocket.
Tempo
There's
Sunder.
the ultimate, and there goes NMR on top of Scylla. It does look like Clocked In are able to confirm it. There's the ultimate from Paul, jumping in his hydrogen on top of Ymir, but they get pushed through the portal, so they are able to avoid the knockup. Maybe that saves their life. In fact, Happen goes a little bit too deep. Kaidon finds the last bit of damage that they need there, so down goes the Scylla for Clocked In. So while they were able to control that Gold Fury, they'll unfortunately lose their support to a little overzealousness.
Despite the side lanes really struggling this game, Strength of Wood's 2v2, Kaidon and NMR have really put in the work so far. Kaidon consistently getting off all the damage that he needs to find these kills so far, being where he needs to be at the right time. Love what he's managed to do. NMR needs to, I think, kind of take it easy a little bit, make sure his ults are a little more confirmable. I find he's ulting, you know, just at the edge of where he needs to be in terms of the ultimate, and that's often led to ults that have been just out of range. But I do like that NMR is continuing to try and play aggressive here around the map. And yeah, I mean, this is tough here, I think, for Strength of Wood. They're starting to fall a little bit far behind as Kaidon
avoids it all.
Yeah.
He was like, okay, that just happened to me. It forces an Aegis out from them. Actually, Tempo is going to be taking a little bit of damage. Eats the unstable vortex. There goes the ultimate from the Ymir. And on her, crippled in place. Down in the portal, Ymir has been melted. But NMR makes their grand entrance with an Anvil of Dawn and immediately decides to leave. Snatty left alone then, who said, I thought my teammates were here. Where are you guys? Right behind you, they say, as the I'm a Monster starts ripping through Snatty. Paul finds the double kill and Clocked In start tilting a little bit forward. Strength of Wood just didn't have the damage to follow up anything. And it felt like Clocked In too just were not afraid of anything that Strength of Wood was trying to do.
Snatty has really struggled in the matchup and is now struggling in the fights as well. Just Pat's a little too aggressively there. Maybe expects the rest of the team to play forward, but Strength of Wood, they were off of cooldown, or they were down cooldown, so they couldn't play aggro in that moment. And Snatty just gets picked off and Clocked In. They just have so much CC displacement as well, with the portal from Paul just kind of buys so much time for Clocked In. That's one thing that I don't think is talked about enough, is just Yanis with this portal. When he portals a target, takes a player out of combat for a moment, and that allows you to reset your cooldowns, and that allows, you know, Hydrogen to reset a cooldown, maybe show up a little bit later to the fight and make an impact there. So just buying time in a team fight when you're looking for a pick is what Yanis does really well, as Kieka will not be long for this world on the left-hand side.
Yeah, they are dead. Unfortunate. Not a lot of mana there to be had, and Karma kind of walked up and said, hey, you, what are you doing here? Nothing? Yeah, I'd much rather believe that to be the case. So they're gonna end up taking the rough and tumble, but instead, Strength of Wood, I thought maybe they would try to go for a cheeky Fire Giant grouping, but it's not quite there yet. We're about 20 minutes in so far, Book. It is 14-6, very much in favor of Clocked In, who are also sitting up on 2 Gold Fury pips and about 8,000 gold or so. So approaching that territory for Strength of Wood. Gotta see what they can do to kind of lessen the gap there.
Your middle tower is under
Love what Clocked In have done as well over here on this right-hand side. They've put Karmic over there on the left, and they've sent Hydrogen to the right-hand side because they know they're in a really good spot. They can kind of pull fire whenever. And Karmic is level 20 at 20 minutes. He is not going to be easy to kill from Strength of Wood. So, Snatty.
Caught in the pillar, forced to use life of the party. Hydrogen lets rip their ultimate as well. But it looks like that exchange of abilities will be enough to convince Clocked In not to look for more. Strength of Wood, knowing that everybody is positioned around that FG side of the map, start picking up this Gold Fury. And while the damage is slow in coming, a Thor ultimate should help finish chunking it. Down goes the Gold Fury for Strength of Wood, and in return, Clocked In start up a Fire Giant. Now, they are not afraid of being able to back down here because they got the damage to shred it down. 6k health and dropping. Looks like Strength of Wood are going to let it go entirely. They opt for a mid T1 tower.
There's time.
And Clocked In confirms the Fire Giant.
Clocked In, they don't want to let this go. They are on the hunt here, looking for Kaidon. Is Karmic in that moment? I don't know if they're going to get anyone here. So Strength of Wood, it's not a victory. Tempo is in so much trouble. He's going to fall down here.
Yeah, through the portal and dead. Well, at least they're able to get a tier 1 tower, right, Book? They find their tier 1, they find their gold fury. So it's not all bad. And I kind of want to build off of something you mentioned before, how good these portals are from Clocked In. Dude, nobody's got beads. So, like, if you're caught out, you're done skis. There's not a lot you can do there. Speaking of caught out, Snatty playing a little bit of Fortnite, waiting in the bush, and he's out. Well done. Stealth mission approved. Stealth level increased to 99. Unfortunately, it would appear that they have been spotted by Paul here.
Paul's level 20, has 4 items completed. This Yanis is swinging, man. He has got the damage online to just kind of one-shot a carry. It is 4 Aegises on the other side, so Strength of Wood have a way. Ooh, NMR.
Yeesh.
Gets the portal and has to be careful.
No. Just barely up into the sky. Imagine if that unstable vortex hit as well. That'd be a dead Thor. He's gonna be able to ult away. Snatty's trying to back. Can he get there in time? Bush Gamer is out of there. Snatty would have called him Articulous the way that he's able to play around with all these bushes and make use of that stealth. Just you wait to Smite 2 gamers. That'll be soon. One day.
They better rework that.
I don't want to lane against him Articulous, actually.
Maybe
you can put him last, actually. I don't want to. I will wait on that. But it feels like Clocked In are getting ready for something big here. What can Strength of Wood do to kind of slow this down?
I mean, I think they're giving these tier 2s at this point. There's not much you could do. Paul is just so far ahead that he can just walk forward the way he did against NMR. They can look for a pick here. Karmic used the beads. He's not going to get pulled in, but maybe Happen will.
Oh, there's the portal, catches Snatty, loses a lot of health. I'm a monster, lands on top, and down goes the Bear and Samdy. Now Clocked In with the pick in their pocket, start to look for a little bit more. Hydrogen putting focus on that left bird, and now Tempo caught out by the aggression from Clocked In. The Phoenix still the focus for Clocked In, is maybe they try to look for a little bit more, but health bars are kind of low, and Fire Giant still for only 80 seconds. A tier 2 up in that solo lane side too. And now up in the air is NMR, looking for a target to land down on top of. The wall is not enough, but Happen still dies. So Tempo is able to feel good about that, caught inside the portal and deleted. Unfortunately, no beads makes this Ymir such a big old target. And there's just not a lot he can do to get away from all that.
Snatty just got, clocked by the door in that moment, but still Clocked In, looking for more here, on the hunt.
Yep, Kyuka gets completely deleted. Hydrogen wraps up that mid-Phoenix, and Karmic wraps up Kaidan. Snatty is able to find a return on top of Tagveer, so there's still life in this Strength of Wood. There's still strength to be had in this house, but Clocked In now realizing that with a couple of people dead on their side, they're not quite ready to go for more, unless they're forced to. Karmic's taking a lot of poke here and walled off. Life of the party, Pop looking to get the last bit of damage they need, stunned underneath the Phoenix, but Snatty, built to tank, not built for damage. Hydrogen makes the engage in, but luckily, Snatty is built for tank. The wall out from NMR is able to harass Hydrogen, and Strength of Wood now starting to decide if they want to go for a little bit more here. Clocked In's very agile though. With the Yanis, the Stampede is popped. We're looking for Karmic. NMR misses the wall and Happens back as well. Thor's back in the air, looking to see if maybe they can find a target, but it feels like Strength of Wood is getting a bit routed, as now Tempo is soaking up a lot of damage from the I'm a Monsters, pillared off and left without any friends. Unstoppable is Paul. They want to make it even better. Snatty rooted. Snatty caught in the damage. Snatty dead. A double kill for Paul. Back in the saddle once again. For realsies this time, Strength of Wood looked for a little bit too much, and now they're paying the ultimate price. Kyuka is dead too. Clocked In lose Happen, but they don't care because Hydrogen jumps in, gets the pin on top of Kaidan, and they are swiftly removed from the game. Now the damage, the attention is being turned over to the Titan. The fire minions are inside the throne room. Titan down to about half. NMR trying to make something happen. They'll be able to find Karmic, but again, you have no beads, and you get caught inside the portal, and now there's nothing here to stop you from taking away the Titan. Clocked In are moving on to finals.
Clocked In route Strength of Wood there in that game. Just so good, man. Paul on this Yanis, just so many through space and times that get so much value mobility wise, but also just clipping so many targets. Paul just back in the saddle, like you mentioned. He is looking good so far, ready for finals.
And we are going to get to those finals. I'm excited. You're excited. Book's excited. We're all pumped over here, but we're going to temper that excitement a little bit because we're going to take a quick break before we jump into that game and take a look at how that last one went. What is up, gamers? We are so back here with some more Smite Prime, the October circuit. It's week 3. It's Musy, it's Book, General Jithins, Tess, Almighty Eye in the Sky, basically Billy, the whole crew here today, making sure that we can get you the games that we are going to see and the ones we actually just watched, Book. And that one was pretty exciting, but also somebody appears to be putting some writing on the wall, I think, for the rest of today.
Yeah, I mean, clocked in, they just look so good today. Paul clearly being back in the lineup is such a big difference for this team. Even though they've made finals these past 2 weeks, I feel like still this is just a level up for clocked in, that they're back in form. They're back to their full, 5-man squad that just looks so much better. And this is the team that just kind of, wins the Smite Prime circuits in general. And, going into week 3, about to be going into week 4, this is kind of where you want to be, at your best. And clocked in, all of a sudden, they're in a position where they can take first seed, which is crazy that we're saying that. They came in second 2 weeks in a row. Smite 2 Bad Boys, for me, was the team to beat, and a bit of an oopsie going into today. And all of a sudden, clocked in have an opportunity to go for first seed.
So some implications, one might say, some tier list implications, one might even go as far to say, for our Smite Prime gamers here, obviously. And I think we all knew this going into today, but Paul is just better. I mean, 8-0 on the screen right now on this Giannis pick, just was able to do so much damage. I feel like a lot of it also might have had to do with the fact that Strength of Wood were sitting here with not even nary a singular bead, not even one, not even a talisman. So anytime that portal came out and Paul was able to use it aggressively, it immediately ended in a kill. Like, just went divine, 9-0 at the end of the game. It's actually kind of ridiculous. And also, that last engagement from Strength of Wood, I feel like they had a chance to really reset things, Book, but they just kind of extended that fight towards the end. So a little bit of an unfortunate scenario, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I was kind of surprised. I feel like maybe Strength of Wood thought that this was their only opportunity to make a play, but they didn't have Kieka or Kaidon up, and those are the two carries. Those are the two damage dealers that you kind of want with your team to make plays. They just kind of overforced, and then Happen shows up late, and yeah, it's just tough there for Strength of Wood all of a sudden to make that work out in their favor, and they get punished for it, and it costs them the game at the end of the day. They were already in a losing position, sure, but that's just the end of the game for them in that moment.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the brackets. The day so far today here in Smite Prime Week 3. Little stinger action there for you. So our next game that we'll be watching is going to be Glurp versus Clocked In. Meanwhile, the third place match of the century, Sesiete versus Strength of Wood. And Sesiete, also the team that had upset Smite 2 Bad Boys so far in the bracket. Yep. So that'll be interesting to see how that pans out, but not where our eyes will be.
No, we'll be paying attention to Glurp versus Clocked In. And Glurp, a team on the rise as of late. They've been in a really good spot. And so excited to see how they compete against Clocked In now that they're at full strength again.
You know what I'm excited for, Book? I'm excited for the giveaway that we've got going on right now. That's right, a Misdiagnosis Neath giveaway. All you have to do, dear viewer, and hopefully viewer with access to a keyboard, it's necessary for this next part, is go to twitch.tv/Smite Prime, go to the chat and type in #giveaway to be able to enter in the giveaway to get that skin. But now we're gonna move on to the picks and bans for the finals of today. Oh, vault bands. Oh,
vault bands.
I missed it.
So it's it's a best
we should
of
probably
3.
touch on this too.
So it's a best of 3, and so what that means is after a character has been picked in a game, they cannot be picked for the rest of the set. So even if you pick, say, a Thor then cannot be played by Team 1 or Team 2 in the next games 2 or 3. So yeah, this is a really cool system that's been added, and I'm really excited to see. It's really made our finals series kind of really go the distance and added a level of strategy that I kind of was, but wasn't expecting at the same time. Certain characters get prioritized in game one, and that's kind of the game you want to go all out in. You want your best characters game one. And then if you go to game three, it can kind of get a little funky. So excited to see where this goes here between these two teams.
Well, there's only one way to start, Buck, and that's by taking a look at the picks and bans for real this time. Between Clocked In and Glurp. Sorry, I was staring into the eyes of the Neath skin. I gotta tell you, the artist kind of knocked it out of the park with that one. And honestly, a huge majority of everything that I've seen so far from the skin department. So shout outs that. I can't wait for more. But right now, we got to talk a little bit about these bands coming out. So because we have Vault bands booked, I feel like that kind of recontextualizes a little bit of what we should be expecting going to these into these games. You said before that you kind of want to come out swinging all of your best picks in game one. What are those picks going to be looking like for each of these teams?
That's a good question. I think, yeah, okay, so I was going to mention, if Bologna's banned, Osiris just has to be taken away by Glurp here, especially after Karmic had such a good game on it. So I think a lot of these characters that we think are just, like, so much better, I think just have to be off the table. Yeah, Hecate, taken away from Benny Q. What I want to note is, are these bans going to transfer over? I think as we go into game two, no matter the outcome, and that's why I'm kind of noting them here, are these bans going to stay the same? Hecate, Bologna, is that what we're going to see banned away in game number two? Aladdin also off the table here. So I'm kind of interested to see what is the priority for Clocked In. Is it going to be this Achilles? Is it going to be maybe something like the Jormungandr for Karmic here? What is the answer going to be as well? That's okay. Clocked In. Tuba so last week had a great game on Jingwei, just popped off. And so Clocked In, also a team that prioritizes it, but their first pick telling me that they don't want to be prioritizing this Jingwei and the Yorm ban here. I think that's the first Yorm ban I've seen against Karmic.
That's the big Yorm ban in the big 2025. So Karmic is just not allowed to play with any of the fun tools. So that kind of leaves behind the Wukong. Is the Wukong showing back up again? Or, you know, we've seen Baron show up before. I mean, what's out there? Oh,
Agni for Hydrogen. So Agni for Hydrogen is probably going to go into ADC. Paul doesn't really play a lot of Agni. This does leave open Ullr for Paul if he decides to go for it. It's an option here. If he wants to play something a little more physical, Merlin being available for Glurp, that's going to be a takeaway from Paul as well as a priority for Benny Q. But, I mean, yeah, Merlin's decent damage, sure, but we saw last game, Kaidan, despite having all that damage, it still feels a little odd to me. It's not the same level of damage that it used to have. And I think other mage priorities would have just been a little bit better here. Yamoja going to be locked in here for Speak No Evil. He loves this character. Kind of surprised that Ymir is still available, though, for both these two teams. Wouldn't be surprised if Happen decides to go for it this game.
You know what? I wonder if we see the Yanis run back here for Paul. Like, it was doing so much work in the last game. It has, you know, kind of that shotgun capability. You walk up to somebody, unstable vortex through space and time, and they just kind of die. So I feel like that could be an option that's still available. But like you said, you've got the Agni there, which means that it could be Ullr. But no, it is going to be the Giannis and the Tsukiyomi lock-in for Clocked In, and Thor and On Her Hover there for Glurp.
I love this combo of the Tsukiyomi Yanis, though. Just two long-range characters that can suddenly just get in there, whether through space and time or the Tsuki ultimate in general. You're just getting in there and then getting in close range to deal damage. Just a mid 2v2 that takes a bit to scale for the Yanis, sure, but the Tsukiyomi can always be active once they hit 5. Thor On Her, though, I mean, this is kind of a little similar to the last game, no? Although I think On Her was on the other side of the Merlin Thor, but going to be paired alongside Merlin Thor this time, and with the Emoji to boot, Scylla the snatch away for Happen, so he's going to be running that one back. I love this, but what is Karmic going to lock in here? This kind of rounds out the draft for me, and you asked for it. Wukong going to be 9th pick overall here for Clocked In.
You know, he definitely had a little bit of a falling from grace in the face of things like the Bellona, the Osiris, the Jormungandr there too. But Wukong was part of that game of rock, paper, scissors in the solo lane. So it makes sense to see him make the resurgence now. And it'll be the Hun Bats as the final pick there for Glurp, being able to have that fear no evil added to the team fight. But that leaves some questions as to who goes where on the Glurp composition.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Thor in the solo lane, Humbots in the jungle. I'm kind of looking at these two comps, and, you know, we mentioned it earlier at the beginning of the day, the Ares Tsukiyomi combos and why they were so good. One is forcing beads, the other is forcing Aegis. You look at these comps, Clocked In, they have some characters that, you know, kind of want the enemy team to go beads against, but mostly they're Aegis oriented. Versus Glurp, I would say, are more, you know, beads oriented. They want Clocked In to kind of lean more towards those beads. So, but neither of these two comps have characters that really punish for the team going the other relic. You know, does Clocked In have characters that can kind of punish the enemy team for going beads? Sure. Is it to the extent of, say, an Ares or a Humbot ult? Not really. Glurp, they have a Humbot ult and a Thor walls to force beads on Clocked In. Do they have characters that force Aegis? Kinda, you know, Merlin, you know, on her to an extent, sure, but not to the same extreme as, say, a Tsukiyomi would have or a New Alt would have. So it's interesting dynamics between these two teams. I'm going to be paying a lot of attention as we get into game one, what the relics choices are going to be for both these two teams.
It's kind of interesting how both of these teams have kind of traded bits and parts of their own compositions, kind of like intermingling, which I think when that happens to me, that's the sign of a good picks and bans for both teams. I think both of these teams are kind of like, cool, we got something that we need and we took away something from them. So all around, we feel good about what's going on here. And we are going to feel good about the game that we're about to witness because we're going to jump on in there. It is game one in the finals of the October Smite Prime circuit. Clocked In versus Glurp. And I am on the edge of my seat. Book, what are we expecting within the first few minutes here?
Probably a slow early game, I would imagine here. Maybe a bit of aggression out of the Glurp duo lane. You know, on her, Yamoja can really get in the faces of this Clocked In duo. I love this so far of what they can, you know, kind of really get done here. The Yimo walls, once they go up, are a great pillar or a great stun option for the on her. I'm looking at the relics as well. I'm kind of curious. So yeah, exactly what I thought was going to happen. Clocked In have gone for all beads, and Glurp have gone for all Aegises. So no ways of really going about it. The question is, can Clocked In punish these Aegises, and can Glurp punish these beads and not going Aegis? Though, as well, Hydrogen going for a shell. So some interesting, you know, relic dynamics as well in that aspect, and that Karmic and Hydrogen will have some team-oriented relics as well. And then just Sunders on the other side for Glurp.
It'll be interesting for sure. I like the shell pickups.
Ooh.
As, oh my gosh, they are really just kind of duking it out in the mid lane there. Benny Q and Paul back to back. Paul looking pretty low, but Benny Q missing a couple of autos there, is not able to do it, but he's just ignoring the wave. Keeps going for more. Paul dancing around inside the minions. This is a first blood in the making. Benny Q lands it, and there it is. First Blood's Paul, less than a minute in, says, listen, man, you want to play this game? I'm all about that. That's a level 2 before minute 1.
I don't know why Paul wanted to take that trade. Maybe expected just more damage out of his Yanis, and maybe didn't expect the auto trades in general. You see a lot of mids just kind of walk by each other like ships in the night and just go for the waves instead. But auto attacks between these two, and Benny Q is always going to win that trade as a Merlin, having 2 abilities level 1 to Paul's 1. Also surprised Benny Q went for the ice stance in that instance. Usually we see the all-in commits out of these Merlin go for fire stance as their secondary option, at least in the early game. But went for ice stance and still managed to find that kill in the minion wave. What a great early first blood for Merlin, and not really where I expected this early action to come from out of this Glurp roster.
I mean, I feel like we saw before in the last game where Paul just kind of walked up to the opposing mid laner and was kind of like, whatever, you're not gonna fight me, because Paul's got aura, right? That's like the best way to explain it. Paul's got crazy aura, but you know who else has crazy aura? The MVP of the Vegas land. That's got to be BennyQ. Not afraid to walk at them. Happens going to end up falling down to Tuba. But it does look like Valo makes that rotation over to the left side as well. Little bit of double dip action on the horizon. Jumps in.
No
Hydrogen. No dash yet. Caught in the overhead smash, but walks away slowly. Doesn't lose panic and doesn't care.
Did force the Aegis out of Valo there. Yeah, a great dash pull there from that early trade of killing Happen there from Speak No Evil and Tuba, and that dash still being down is why Valo went for that all-in gank, but wasn't able to find it, and Valo did cost him his Aegis here. Can Tegvir and Paul look to punish that Relic being down? Well, it is. It's Happen. Still playing rather aggressive here. A little loosey-goosey with their health bar.
Get kind of crazy over here. A lot of blooded aggression so far. Different from what we've been seeing in these past couple of games. As, you know, we're coming to 3 minutes, but it's already 0-2 in favor of Glurp. Gold lead reflects that as well. So this isn't quite what we expected. There's a lot more aggression than maybe we thought there was going to be, but how do Clocked In try to retake control of the situation here? Maybe it's a fight around the Firebrands, actually. Tegvir puts some damage into Valo, and there's some rotations. Through space and time is off the mark. Valo is able to dodge it. Tegvir eats some damage chasing after the monkey. Overhead smash is not enough to dissuade because the other Monkey King, Karmic, makes the rotation from solo lane, and Clocked In are able to find their get back.
I was gonna say it's by doing exactly that, using your mid priority there from Paul and the right side priority from Karmic, as Paul looking to all in BennyQ here, but getting the worst end of that health bar trade doesn't seem to matter. Paul still wants to be taking these 1v1 trades for whatever reason here, despite not really having that advantage. You know, Merlin kind of known for having just such good all-in 1v1 potential, often being played in like game modes like Duel because of just how you can play the character, and Paul just doesn't seem to care. He's going for a CDR build. He's going to keep kind of walking in the faces of BennyQ. I think he's trying to force the Aegis more than anything. He wants to force BennyQ's Aegis so that Tegvir has a gank avenue onto BennyQ in the mid lane, because once he hits one of those beams, Tegvir can just play all in on this Merlin, even if his Flicker is still available.
Tegvir does have the ultimate available too. So they are level 5 here. So the question is, can Paul make that happen for their team? Or is BennyQ just going to play it chill now? I think especially as we start to move towards these stages of the game of people grouping up, kind of like you see in that mid lane there. Emoja makes the rotation over, and even the Agni, Hydrogen, hanging out by that gold pit. I'm kind of curious to see what the response is overall.
Fighting over the neutral farm, and see Zav is rotated out first, but Paul is a-okay with that portal. But I mean, you mentioned left-hand side though.
Yep, Phantom Shell pop, Emoja ultimate 2, but Hydrogen puts in a lot of damage there. Cripple out on Speak No Evil, but the health bar is still pretty up and tanky. It looks like the dual lane won't find any kills, but the tension grows.
That was a great shell from Hydrogen to just bail out Happen. Must have used the Scylla dash pretty early, and that's why Speak No Evil committed the ultimate, but a great shell from Hydrogen to bail out his support in that moment. And you mentioned, like, can BennyQ just kind of sit back and farm? And I don't think he needs to if Paul plays aggressive on him anymore. He's got the Polynomicon online here for the Merlin. Can honestly just fight back now at this point and try and all-in Paul if he tries to take a 1v1. The question is going to be, what stances does BennyQ really commit to in this 1v1? If he goes to fire stance and commits the fire 2-1, does Paul land the portal in that moment, and does it cancel out those abilities? Then Paul should win the trade. But if he goes to ice stance, I think BennyQ just should have the upper hand here in the 1v1.
So then when it comes to having to chill out between chill out ice stance, good one, Musi. Between ice and fire stance, this happened, lets loose an ultimate there. There's some potential on the left side, but not quite. How does that work for like laning and also clearing? Because you mentioned last game that Merlin's going to be able to out clear the Sionis. Can he do that with ice stance still?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, not to the same extent as, say, the Arcane, as Valo's on the way here.
Makes the rotation, Fear No Evil, lands the ultimate, but Happen is able to get away, and Paul makes the rotation as well with that through space and time, but unfortunately, doesn't look like they're going to earn themselves any kills. Looks like Tuba also had used her ultimate there too. You can see it's on cooldown. So nothing to be had, nothing to be found for either team.
Still a great communication, though. You saw Happen run right towards where the portal was going to be showing up there. And Paul, I think, angled that one perfectly. And then Happen also just placed that dash angle perfectly, as well as Tuba getting the worst end of things.
Oh, Hydrogen dashed in and finds Tuba there. Speaking of Weevil, looks to be the next ire of aggression. Agni Bomb out and the crush as well. Sunder damage is not quite enough to take down the Yamoja. Speaking of Weevil is able to get away from the dual lane of Clocked In, but unfortunately Tuba still was unable to. And now meanwhile in the mid lane, Paul's forced to take the portal away, and the Tsukiyomi is there too, but still nothing quite yet. Valo, jump over, find Paul,
portal.
overhead smash. Never mind, that's a Yanis. What was I talking about?
I didn't think he had portal there, but yeah, just has Chronos Pendant online, so he's already incredibly safe here, but low, and it's a grouping for these oracles. Glurp, I believe, was able to secure those. And so, yeah, just already this Yanis is kind of able to be in your face for a moment and just walk away with a little bit less HP, sure, but still will be able to walk away with their life intact, and expect Paul to kind of continue playing aggressive here in the mid lane against BennyQ, even despite Merlin being such a strong 1v1 character. Paul still in the face of BennyQ, looking for those unstable vortexes to win out in the 1v1. These two mid laners, they've faced each other for time and time again for a hot minute now. You know, Cherry Slush with BennyQ on that team, and Paul continuing to, you know, get his team, this Clocked In roster, into a good spot where they are able to compete and be honestly dominant forces here in Smite Prime. But still, these two mid laners have faced each other. Maybe it's just an ego battle at this point between these two.
Just trying to show who's the coolest mid laner around. Solo lane, Valo makes a little bit of a rotation here, jumps over after the Wukong, right into the somersault cloud, is able to dodge the Hunbat's ultimate. Tagbeer here as well. Thor goes up into the sky. Valo taking quite a bit of damage, forced to use the Aegis, but it's not enough. So the Thor is going to have to get away. Zav cannot commit to that fight. An unfortunate gank from Glurp did not pan out the way that they wanted, and looks like meanwhile on the left side, Happen continues to harass this duo lane.
Hydrogen looking for the bomb, but can't find it. Man, Karmic just did so much damage there, and actually has gone for the Runeforged Hammer, first item here on the Wukong. So not the lifesteal build that we used to see as of late. Also going towards more just defensive hybrid builds. The Runeforged Hammer first is it's going to be a lot of damage early as Speak No gets caught for a little bit.
Well, Honor jumps away. The ultimate is popped by Happen, as well as that through space and time, but Gold Fury is dropped, Clocked In. After using a couple of tools, aren't able to pick it back up. Does that open up the opportunity for Glurp? No. They're like, that is a hot potato that I'm not willing to touch, and you guys can have that.
Man, I feel like Clocked In, we're just not all on the same page in that instance. You know, Paul playing forward and then immediately turns and ults out. The rest of the team Happens still looking forward and kind of looking for any damage there, but just not on the same page in that moment there, and that kind of made it a little more difficult to either commit to the play for the kill or to commit to the Gold Fury.
Just kind of a tricky situation to be in. Hydrogen, though, able to find some damage on Speak No Evil. The Umoja health bar drops pretty low, but with the ring, they should be able to get away. Crossing towards 11 minutes at this point. No Gold Fury's caught yet. 17 rocks for Tagveer. 3-2 in favor of Clocked In, who are also ahead by about 1,500 gold. So gold lead, honestly, still pretty close in terms of where it could be. So we're still waiting for the scales to tip one way or the other.
Yeah, but you can feel it, right? Clocked In, they're kind of looking for these plays. This 2v2 in left-hand side, Hydrogen and Happen just have so much poke from a distance. They're slowly whittling down this tower on the left-hand side. Hydrogen just tanking the tower and continuing to get good damage here. Valo on the way, but I don't know if he can take this 2v2 alongside Speak No Evil.
Yeah, even though they took a couple of tower shots, it's still not appetizing enough, still not appealing enough. It's kind of interesting we haven't seen Valo put more focus on this left side because Hydrogen doesn't have beats, so you would imagine that this Fear No Evil would just
Displacement immunity.
constantly be hitting there, but it's just not there. Your displacement immunity, but fear immunity, right? Like,
Oh, true.
you would hope that he'd be able to find something, but instead, Valo has just kind of been super focused on this farming, had a rough and tumble in the solo, so I'm kind of curious as to what the game plan there is.
Yeah, I think Valo just has been outpaced a little bit by Tegvir. Tegvir is consistently, looking for plays in mid onto Benny Q, consistently looking on the right-hand side here for Zav, getting kills, honestly, in the enemy jungle there onto Valo now a couple times, and this 2v1, or 1v, I guess 2v1 technically. Karmic getting the worst end of things, though.
The Wu 2 is here as well, but not really helping out. They're focusing on that totem. Karmic is able to get away. Pyromancer was also picked up as well by Clocked In. They'll have a bomb in their pocket. Tegvir, a force of nature for this Clocked In team, rocking the Tsukiyomi, not the Achilles that they've been kind of favoring recently, but I know we talked about it in picks and bans. I still like what it does for this team. It's interesting we haven't had a chance to see them find that dive onto Benny Q, though, that you had mentioned so early on.
Yeah, Paul just hasn't been able to force this Aegis out of Benny Q at all. Benny Q's done a really good job of holding on to that relic, not really panicking at all, and just waiting and waiting and waiting. But this has allowed Tegvir to kind of focus on other lanes instead, ganking left a little bit, ganking right a little bit, focusing on a Zav. But now I kind of wonder, does Tegvir have a lane he can really look towards? Because we just saw there, Zav got the better end of Karmic there in that trade on the right-hand side. Tuba has been pushed under his tower, so you can't imagine Tegvir is going to be diving the tier 1 just yet, so can't really gank there. Benny Q still has Aegis, so he's not a prime gank target. I almost wonder if Tegvir has to spend a bit of time trying to force some of these Aegises and then waiting for his ult to come back up before he can really try and commit to another play here. But that does mean that in that downtime, Glurk can look to make a play of their own, so I think that's why Tegvir is just kind of, content with just farming it out for a bit.
Ooh. Bit of damage happening here on top of Valo. They're forced to jump over the wall. Looks like Paul gets caught in a ring, but nothing comes of it. So Glurp mostly just end up eating their damage as their jungler gets TKO'd. Could open up an opportunity for a gold free, but still no pulls. Nobody's ready to blink yet, Book. It's a bit of a staring contest, I feel. This could be a blinking moment, actually. Here goes the damage on top of Happen. Forced to use the ultimate, but it's not enough to save their life. Down crashes Zav, who rotated over from solo lane as well, so no Thor ultimate for this next engagement. On her position next to that Gold Fury. In fact, they picked it up. Meanwhile, in the portal, and forced to Cersei's away is Speak No Evil. They're gonna go down, though, because Karmic ults after them and gets the damage off. Forced to pop the shell, now they have to get away. On her makes the rotation too, jumps in after Clocked In. Can they find the damage? The answer is no. Tegvir is able to get their damage off, and with the ultimate to follow up, finish off the kill on top of Valo. That will open up that Gold Fury for Clocked In. Glurp has no ultimate for their Thor. Benny Q is still full health, but it's still a risky adventure. There goes the Thor wall as he dashes in using his hammer, so no movement available there. Gold Fury down to half. Benny Q trying to get some damage off. Karmic very low, and he will die to Benny Q. Tegvir low in the back too. Happen is rejoined with their team as Gold Fury falls down to about half, but Benny Q still not ready to let it go. They steal it away. Glurp got the gold. Fury Sunder was off the mark from Happen. How does that even happen? Clocked In, they find kills, but they don't get the objective.
Just didn't predict the damage appropriately in that moment. Happen missing the Sunder a little too early, and Benny Q is able to steal that one away. Great play, but I feel like Glurp, they should have been just up. They should have had that gold for free in that moment. They got the initial pick with a great rotation from Zav, and then Speak No Evil just on his own. Again, just weird miscommunications here for Glurp in that moment. And Speak No Evil's on his own. He's looking for a great Yemo cage. Potentially had it, but just then gets spotted out and picked off on his own. And then Tuba jumps in, looking to try and finish off Karmic, who stayed alive for so long after diving in mid. Just unfortunate. A lot of credit to Benny and Zav in particular. These two together just made so much happen around that Gold Fury. They steal that one away. Benny Q now gets a kill as well. 3-0-0 on the Merlin. He's in a really good spot to suddenly carry this game.
And it's just what Glurp needed too, because they were suffering so many kills across the board.
Yeah.
Even though Clockton wasn't able to execute on the plan of like force an Aegis from Benny Q, get the dive after that, Valo wasn't able to find any traction as the game had progressed there. Most of the deaths for Glurp here. But now with that, that should at least get some gold in the pocket of Valo. So maybe they could try to make some more plays happen, or they can get rooted. They can find some more damage on top of their head. Tagmir at range is able to throw some more out. Paul looks for a little bit more, but isn't able to land it. So Valo again, TK'd Ode and forced to go and find something else to do on the map.
A great stun over the wall from Speak No Evil to just stunt that aggression there from Tagvir. Stop the Tsukimi from casting any more on his jungler and keeps Valo alive in that moment. Great portal from a distance on a Speak No. Paul just, he loves these Yanis portals, man. He loves, you know, Smite 1 with Yanis was all about, you know, you never use the portal aggressively. You're always holding it because you're just always so mobile and you could get caught at any time if you drop the portal on the ground. It could be a little spooky for you. Paul just loves to drop them aggressively, use them to set up for his unstable vortex from a distance. Continuing to be aggressive here, especially with how much CDR in the build he's got. Chronos Pendant, Gem of Focus, and Soul Gem. Just so much CDR. This Yanis is almost always going to have portal available to them.
And think too, Book, Glurp doesn't have any type of CC immunity that's like on hand easily. Like it's all Aegis and Sunders, right? And who's going to ult a Yanis portal? That just doesn't, it's not gonna happen. Oh, speaking of happen, he might die here, eating quite a bit, forced to use the ultimate, but doesn't fire it off through space and time. Looks to tag Speak No Evil, but not too much beyond that. Pyromancer is the actual focus here, and it is confirmed by Tagvir. So Clockton will be able to have that Pyromancer. We'll leave the bomb there for later. Karmic, standing out next to the rest of Glurp, ends up eating the Thor wall, takes the Wind Sprite out, and that will give him the space he needs to be able to make that speedy getaway.
So Happen plays aggressive there in mid because he knows his team, Tagvir and Karmic, are there on the Pyromancer just doing that objective in the faces of Glurp, and Glurp don't really have an immediate response, kind of hesitate for a moment. Because suddenly Happen's dashing in, and you're like, well, why is Happen dashing in? There's no immediate follow-up. What's going on? Commit a little late to the Scylla, but still aren't able to take her down in that moment. And Happen's got 3 items, a little more difficult to kill at this stage as Zav has teleported on over to the left-hand side, but 3 members of Clockton are here as well, and that's because Gold Fury is about to be spawning soon. And we saw Zav rotated first last time, and is rotated first yet again.
But even as they rotate, it looks like they're going for the back here. So Clockton, they might not have known it, but death was right around the corner. As Gold Fury spawns, it looks like Glurp isn't quite ready to look for anything either. And Clockton just gonna pull some pots. So doesn't seem like anybody's ready to jump on it quite yet. We're gonna satiate our hunger for gold with some camps and maybe some lanes that we can farm.
Yeah, and I think you're pretty okay if you're Clockton just farming for a bit. You're still Yanis, Agni, Scylla, great scalers as Speak No.
Woof. No, Cersei's Hexstone saves you from that through space and time and an unstable vortex, and the back-to-back as Benny Q dies as well. It's a double kill for Paul, and a shutdown on top of Benny Q, which is an important pick, I feel, for Paul, especially to be able to get some extra gold in their pouch there. Now with that, I imagine it's going to open up this Gold Fury pit, and a Queen Naga too, why not? When you're in Rome, stop, smell the roses, try a little bit of what the food has to offer. Paul chases after Valo.
Ooh.
Has the unstable vortex, waiting for it to land, slows it down, pops the beads, is not able to get the portal, but it doesn't matter because they were able to pull the life with the autos. Valo, Gold Fury down, Paul getting chased after, ultimate from the on her, Paul dodges everything, takes a portal through the wall, and it does not seem like he will be chased after, so now Paul continues his reign of terror as everything comes up clocked in. Tuba loses half his health. Good lord. What a cool character.
Paul comes back with a vacation buff, apparently, because, oh my lord, this guy is just in your face, in your jungle, finds a solo kill onto Valo there, forces his Aegis, and then just, I mean, also that play in mid under the tier 1 tower is all him. He just gets so much damage off immediately onto Speak No Evil, follow-ups off of Happen, through space and time, connects him from a distance as well to finish off that kill, and then just diving Benny Q under the tower with the help of Happen taking that one up. Paul, man, just so good on this character today, is just absolutely cooking, just in the faces of Glurp, and Glurp cannot punish him yet. They don't have the tools to really deal with this Yanis. Speak No doesn't have them. Maybe he can look for a ranged stun, but he's struggled now to just step forward and look for these stuns, because every time he does, he gets punished for it. Paul, again, still in the faces, and he walks out of there.
Pyromancer picked up by Clocked In, the fight to follow. There goes Umoja Ultimate and Thor in the sky as well. Zav looking for the target. Who are they going to land down on? In the back line.
Oh, Valo.
The Fear No Evil is popped. It's enough to take down Happen. Valo finds a lot of value there, but Tagveer finds a little bit more with their ultimate, putting in a lot of damage in there. Karmic looking fairly low. Zav and Benny Q were able to pick off the Sun Wukong, and Tuba finds Tagveer towards the back. Paul chases down Tuba. A wonderful Aegis is able to save his life, and Paul not positioned to chase after them. Instead, loops around the left side, wondering if maybe they can take that re-engage. It seems that this fight is over unless Valo chases after Paul. That is not something you can make happen. We got cooldowns on cooldowns for that mid laner, and Clocked In disengage.
Man, Valo just bides his time there in that fight up there. He's just hiding out in the bush, waiting and waiting and waiting for his time to strike. Drops the Fear No Evil. It hits so many members in such a small corridor there. Just gets so much value out of that ultimate. And then Benny Q is able to follow up with the damage. Tuba is able to kite and live in that moment because he got clipped by Paul's ultimate through space and time over the wall. Unlucky for him, has to back out, heal up a little, then walk back in. So still Glurp remain in it. A victory for them over by the top right side of their own jungle. So they defend their own jungle, sure, but they don't really get anything out of it. No objectives on the map for them to take in that moment. Gold Fury should be spawning soon, but a 5-man grouping over here on the right-hand side as Tuba has teleported on over, but, you know, despite that not going the way of Clocked In, it's still spooky for Glurp. Paul is only getting stronger here, working on that Ob Shard, and he's already doing so much damage to the carry members of Glurp in particular. Just almost playing like a second assassin here for the side of Clocked In.
And even beyond what Paul has been able to do, I feel like Tagveer has also started showing up in his own way, especially with these ultimates, just putting everybody in range for Paul to be able to just walk up and execute with their unstable vortex. Just so much damage to be have on. The Ob Shard is done, so that means that even the tanks are gonna struggle to stand up in front of him. It's a Fire Giant pull from Glurp, but surely not a hard pull. Karmic goes in, finds some damage. A Circe's from Speak No Evil gets them out. Somersault Cloud to chase after them. There's the ultimate from Umoja, and in the air is Thor. We land down, find two, trying to put the damage on top of the Agni. The double wall stun. Paul's taking quite a bit as well, but this Thor is all alone. The rest of Glurp has been dying behind them, and Hydrogen shuts down Zav. And now the only one left to speak of it is Valo. Paul takes the portal over, knocked up by the Wukong, destroyed by the unstable vortex. Clocked In, find themselves a deicide, and look for the Fire Giant now.
Man, Clocked In just looking so strong here. Paul winning a 1v1 against Valo in the mid lane. And then Zav just a 2-man ultimate onto both carries, and it's still just not enough damage there. Speak No getting caught out early on his own. The rest of the team can't really back him up there. They're kind of too far behind in that moment. Just, it is tough for Glurp that they tried to defend that and then lost out in the 1v1 in mid. They just didn't have the right angles to really force a full 5-on-5 that favored them in that moment. Clocked In, though, they just look so good, playing so aggressive against Glurp as Paul's still looking for more damage here. He's top of the player damage, 28k at 25 minutes. And that's kind of rare for Yanis. Yanis doesn't normally have that much player damage this, early on. Usually now he's sitting around 11, 12k, 15k, because he's finally got those important int items. But 28k, 26 minutes in for a Yanis is kind of rare. He's looking at look easy right now.
I mean, all Paul has been doing is just been W-keying at people with these portals. And again, I really can't stress it enough. Where are the beads for Glurp? Uh-oh. Through space and time, charges up the shot, sends it through to the left side. Who's it hit? Who's the target? Are we just doing it for the fun? There it is. You just went outside my window. Is that my car? Does car insurance cover getting ulted by Paul?
That would be very specific
Gotta
writing.
talk to
I feel
Progressive.
like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get an update on that one. I think that ultimate was just there as an avenue for, in case someone, you know, rotated on over for that purple buff invade to kind of, you know, stop that from happening. You have some portals to walk away with just in case. And Paul's got so much CDR, he doesn't really lose anything from just throwing out an ultimate. And maybe if he finds someone, he just one-shots them at this point, honestly. So I don't mind that play at all.
Gold Fury confirmed by Clocked In there. Not Ancient, but it is their second pip. So Clocked In will be able to enjoy the benefits of some enhanced minions for these pushes, as the T2 towers are going to be the next objective here for Clocked In to push in. They have Fire Giant for another 2 minutes. So we get a chance to see what they want to do with it. Crowding around that Phoenix line. Everybody has all the tools in the world that they want. Happen doesn't, though. So no I'm a monster for the Scylla quite yet. They got to charge up that bar.
Too difficult to take this Phoenix at this stage of the game. Just not enough outright push potential here. But look at this mobility already for that Paul is providing not only to himself, but his team. So much movement speed on this Yanis here. He'll just kind of run around. It is just... the chase down and slow down from Yanis is so good as Happen goes in.
Finds a big cripple. Karmic in the back gets the knockup as well. Speak No looking pretty low. Valo lets loose the ultimate and Paul's down to half. Tower goes down. Clocked In find more space for themselves. They look for Tuba. Speak No's low as well. Karmic in the mix has not died yet. Still living forever. And Tagbeer looking for some damage on their own. But Zav is able to tank through it, and Clocked In, they only find the one pick, but it's the only pick they need, because the actual true objective, that mid-bird, is going to end up falling down. It'll be a backup from Clocked In. Maybe go spend some of that gold.
Not the bird you would have liked, though, if you're Clocked In. Still, Glerper could be able to contest these Fire Giants easily here after clearing a couple of mid-waves. Yeah, it does give Clocked In an avenue to kind of know where someone is going to be at a given point of time, because you just pay attention to where the waves are and expect someone to rotate to defend it. And that's honestly a piece of information that's really good for Clocked In. You don't need a ward to cover that information. You just need to know where your minions are, where they're clashing against the enemy minions, and then expect someone to kind of be in the area to clear the wave. And you just use the through space and time, look to get a pick off of that, because the rest of the team will be trying to contest Fire Giant at that stage usually. So Clocked In, yeah, it's, you know, not the best objective you would have liked, not the best Phoenix you would have wanted right as Fire Giant is due to spawn, but still, it's just free information for the through space and time Paul that is just absolutely cooking, man.
Trying to cook a little bit more here. Clocked In, started to feign to look for that T2, but instead have found the on her by himself. Valo lets loose the ultimate, and Paul is down! Dies at the hands of Tuba, and Thor comes crashing down on top of Karmic, trying to see if they can get that some Wukong before he gets into the air. They are not there in time. Tagbeer crashes through everybody with their own ultimate. Down comes Karmic, and Umoja ultimate puts the walls back up. AQ takes away Tagbeer over the wall. It's Happen with their own ultimate. Zav is able to find Karmic and Happen left against 3 people from Glurp, who Clocked In, looked for this fight, looked for that engagement, and unfortunately bit off more than they were ready to chew, because Glurp is online.
Man, just all of a sudden, Paul gets a little bit too impatient. Had his beats forced earlier on by Valo. Valo continuing the chase, aware that Paul is hunting for something and is there in time with the Fear No Evil, just stunting Paul from being able to go anywhere. And, you know, Paul going first as a Yanis isn't ideal at this stage. The damage is online from Glurp. They can answer this Yanis now and just kind of kill him if he CC'd long enough.
Yeah, welcome to late game. I mean, we're at 31 minutes in the game so far. A Pyromancer just confirmed by Clocked In, 18-11. And Clocked In are ahead by a significant amount of gold. Missed
3 Mirrodins. 3 Mirrodins for Clocked In.
I see it now. I'm looking down at it.
Makes sense.
Not only the bomb, but the Mirrodins as well. So walk me through that, because that seems a little, that's different.
Yeah, so Paul, it makes perfect sense. You know, you're getting 2 unstable vortexes off, or maybe even 2 portals if you're crazy enough, and that works out. But on Happen, maybe you're getting 2 roots, you're getting maybe 2 crushes, which is 2 slow fields. Hydrogen, who's gone for more of a strength build, maybe just looking for more stuns, I would imagine, off the bombs or the 2s. So just more CC for Clocked In. More abilities being cast as Karmic has that portal to get away with. Oh, yeah.
The tension here is getting pretty thick. You could cut it with a knife or some other weapon implement. Tagveer putting some damage on this FG. Falls down to about 12k or so. Still waiting for the opportunity to get in there. Glurp is just staring at them. Clocked In has a decision to make. Are you fighting or are you farming? Starts walking up. Caltrops out through space and time, clips 2, and it looks like that damage will be enough for Tagveer to go
I don't know.
But Fellow finds a massive ultimate in the air as Thor, crashing back down. Tagveer finds Tuba, and Glurp sees if they can find anything else in response. Paul and Tagveer are still alive. Zab looks for the hammer, and the wall is enough to catch out Tagveer. Now it's just Karmic and Paul left, but a triple knockup from the Wukong, and we're going into the ult on top of Valu. Jumps away from the damage. Wu 2 here as well. Karmic getting ganged up on. Oxform away, and Paul from the backside with a shotgun takes down Valo. Karmic blocks the rest of them with his life. Paul will be the only one left standing, but the damage has been done. Nobody can have anything today. Go back to base and think about what you did.
Man, this Magi's cloak from Tuba just keeps him alive for so long. Has that CC immunity to keep casting through the team fight, and just doesn't make that one-shot potential from Paul, you know, really work out there with that through space and time. And then Benny Q and Valo, man, just everyone on Clocked In trying to all in there off the through space and time in that moment. Speak No Evil with a great ult to corral everyone in, and then Valo and Benny Q with all the AoE damage in the world just goes off there. And Valo at that point, and so is Benny Q, where they can kill frontliners here. If Karmic goes in first, he can get blown up, get all of his damage dealt. Happen dashed in aggressively there. He's been doing it all game. This time he gets punished for it. And part of that's to do with he's gone Mirrodin, and now he's building more damage. He's not getting any tankier 34 minutes in. Trying to lean more towards dealing damage. Maybe just going to go in, try and root someone twice. And then, I don't know, could just instantly die for it now at this stage of the game.
It is a tricky position to be in, for sure. At what point does the value of extra abilities get outweighed by the value of not getting actually one-shot by the damage from Glurp? And I feel like, again, we're going to have to dance around this FG.
Oh, speak
no evil. Takes a little bit of damage, take a little bit of poke, but it's okay.
Paul doesn't see it, Paul doesn't see it!
Paul, but with the beads and the through space and time lands it, 1,000 damage, and Zav goes in on Paul. Through the portal they go, and away from the damage with Thor's up into the air. They gotta find him, gotta headhunt him. Who's gonna be the target? Crash down on top of you. Down goes Happen. Wish you had a little bit more prots now, don't you? So it's gonna be a one person picked off from Glurp, and Clocked In are gonna be down their support.
Valo with the flank of the sentry on a Paul. Paul just didn't see him right behind him until it was too late there. And then Zav, man, just look, Valo forces the beads out of Paul, and it's like, okay, you know, Paul's just gonna, you know, stay far back. Suddenly a Thor hammer over the wall, and again Zav with a Thor hammer over the wall.
Finally taking a look at Paul, but Zav's gonna be the one to pay the ultimate price, and Karmic surges forward, up in the air. Wu 2 does a lot of the scouting there. 4 Clocked In, and Paul's actually just W-keying at them, just walking. Wondering if maybe he can find a little something. Bait somebody to walk up with the portal? Not quite. Glurp is wise to the antics of Clocked In, and they are not looking to bite that bait anytime soon.
Zav just didn't have ultimate. Would have liked to have seen him kind of wait for that ultimate to be up, because then Paul still would not have had beads. Happen up in 4. This is going to be a 5-on-4 on this fire giant, but it's getting pretty low. This might just be a full 4-on-4. Look at Paul on the right-hand side, though. Finds the portal onto Benny. Force the Aegis.
There. Karmic is in Ox form through space and time. Threads the needle. Not able to find any targets, too, but takes a lot of damage trying to throw out the auto attacks that they can, but not able to find any purchase. Valo is going to be the odd man out here, forced to jump away from Happen and Hydrogen. Bubbles are on for these characters, so the ultimate from Valo would be just not what they need. In fact, they have to collapse back on them towards the mid lane. Cripple good, able to hold them in place. No follow-up damage though. Valo is okay for now. Both teams still waiting for the engage.
Valo didn't panic there at all. Just got rooted and held on to that Aegis. Didn't freak out, didn't expect Paul to walk around the corner or use that portal to walk in aggressively there. Just held on to it and still has it now. Benny Q though, no Aegis for another 80 seconds here. So he is a prime target for Paul to just, you know, one-shot him with that through space and time. But that's a couple times now that Paul has looked for that through space and time, and it just hasn't really worked out now. Glurp are starting to figure it out. They're starting to figure out how they play these engages, these counter engages, honestly. And they've done a good job so far. They're hoping to keep that lucky streak in their favor as Clocked In. They're going to pull the Fire Giant here.
Once again, the old song and dance, the old Fire Giant maneuver here from Clocked In. Glurp wise to the antics though. They know that they have to find Paul and isolate them. Fire Giant down to 5k, getting burned away, so we're looking for a little bit of confirm from either team. Double stun out. Tagveer throws out the Caltrops. Umoja ultimate up. There's the pillar as well. Tagveer takes down Speak No Evil. Dashing away is the Agni. Very low health. Hydrogen is not able to play ball. Tagveer is not either. Tuba finds the kill. Karmic falls down to Benny Q. And it looks like Glurp is able to walk away with a little bit of a victory dance unless Happen finds Tuba, dashes in, wins right away too. Zav tries to chase after them and Valo goes for the maneuver to cut them off. Happen with the sentry, slowed by Benny Q, not enough to get away. So it's gonna be Paul and Hydrogen, the only two remaining members here for Clocked In. But again, Glurp can't even start up the FG. Their tank is dead.
Their tank is dead, and Tuba, more importantly, is dead as well. Happen just saves that engagement at the end of the day by killing off Tuba at the end of that. Man, just Valo has now forced the beats. That being a wash is totally fine if you're a Glurp, because you're going to go again a full 5-on-5, and no relics on the side of Clocked In means this ultimate from Thor is going to be huge, and Valo's Fear No Evil is going to be massive here. But they just gotta wait until everyone is up, group up around that Fire Giant. Question is, are Clocked In gonna be the ones pulling the objective? Because that's what Glurp have kind of wanted to happen. They want Clocked In to be the ones pulling the objective, as Paul is gonna get rid of that. Bomb, just so we can go get another, would imagine, kind of sitting in pocket in here.
I mean, just a bit of obstruction. So Paul says, no bomb for me. We want the sentry instead, and I feel like we're gonna groom this FG yet again with this old song, and like you said, Clock in the wrestler and Giant Warp has letting happen. So when that shiz goes on, we'll see. It feels like it.
But I don't know, man. It is, the dice is being rolled too many times by Clocked In, where they're trying to, you know, make these plays happen. It just hasn't worked out. Glurp have fought back beautifully into this. Played this humbug has been so good to look for Paul every single time, now getting forced out in mid by Karmic, so that flank ankle being denied here, and Paul's still hovering on the right hand side. They're going to give pick control to Clocked In entirely, and Clocked In, no, they can't pull the objective. They've done it a few times now and it hasn't worked out at all. So it's a world we sit here for 4 minutes here and wait, though granted every relic is back up. So Glurp's angle, where, you know, all the relics were down, it's just not a thing anymore.
I wonder at what point you maybe start to look at some other objectives on the map, like, you know, maybe we could try to soft pull a Pyromancer, Gold Fury. I'm exactly thinking that. You still have a bunch of tier 2s up for Clocked In. Maybe you get some minion pressure and an Ancient Gold Fury. Glurp would love that. Or the third Pip for Clocked In. so that they'd be able to do that little bit of extra damage they need to objectives for this Fire Giant. But pull it up once again. Already, Glurp is here in force. Try to put some pressure on to happen, keeping him away from the pit. Fire Giant forced to be dropped.
Oh,
Bit of an exchanging back and forth on her. Not able to do it. Valo used their ultimate there. So that's a massive tool that Glurp won't have in this coming fight that's going to open up this Fire Giant for Clocked In, knowing that Glurp won't have that re-engage that they so desperately need. Fire Giant falls to about 9k.
look at Paul.
My eyes are peeled for Zav. Wondering if this Thorald's going to be looking for an opportunity to get in there. Fire Giant down to 5. Karma gets in the mix. And through space and time from Paul. Tries to put in some damage. Fire Giant confirmed by Happen, but Valo finds Happen in the back. Now it's going to be a fight for their lives. In comes Crashing Thor on top of Tagveer. Pops the dagger. Feels up to full. Paul finds crazy damage, but not before Tagveer falls to Benny Q. And in fact, Clocked In while finding that Fire Giant. End up losing 2 in the process. Glurp walk away with 4 lives, that's still alive.
Glurp somehow make it work despite having no ultimate on Valo there, and still they manage to fight back. Yes, it's fire for Clocked In, but they find 2 important kills. One on the Happen, one on the Tagveer. Tagveer not able to get the full ultimate off in time, has to pop the dagger early, so he does not get the full benefit of it at all. And now 4 members strong. Glurp are looking to pull this Gold Fury, just trying to scale with these 3k pots now. Valo picked up one a bit ago. I imagine Benny's sitting on one as well. Tuba probably as well. But Paul on the right-hand side looking here has ultimate again.
Everybody kind of crowding around. Karmic stuck in a pillar. Glurp aren't able to even do anything, even with that man advantage. No. The threat of the FG buff and the fact that Paul's still alive is still a scary thing to be staring down. Now it's going to be the commitment onto the ancient Gold Fury. Falls down to about 9k. Paul's taking around that right-hand side. Karmic tries to get in there, forced up into the ultimate, but Tuba finds the kill. Meanwhile, in the back, Paul looks for that unstable vortex, but it's a little bit off the mark. Hydrogen continues to put on the damage on top of the Gold Fury, trying to see if they can steal that away, but it does go to Speak No Evil. In dashes in Hydrogen. Big double stun, but the Umoja wall keeps away Clocked In from going for a further chase. Happen will still try to lurk towards the back there, but one Scylla by themselves may appear scary, but they're building all defense. You don't have to stress out about that.
Happen actually sold his Gem of Focus that he had at one point for the Spirit Robe, so does realize that he's kind of getting one shot when he dashes in, going more towards a bit of defense. I kind of like that he's keeping the Mirrodin, just getting a second root off is a little angle there that he can look for. I really like that as an option. But man, Paul's just having a really hard time now getting the damage off, and Karmic, you saw right there, it's kind of at the stage where Glurp, they can just kill the Wukong before he gets the Sky, despite all this defense that he's got. The 3k pots are starting to come through, and this is a 44-minute game that we're at now. It is just a battle of inches at this point.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, it is about 45 minutes. 24 to 22. Clocked In have a pretty healthy gold lead, 10k, but at this stage, full items for everybody except for Speak No Evil. Gold is a thing of the past. We think in terms of 3k pots, like you were talking about before. A lot of signs of life in Glurp still. They'll have that Ancient Gold Fury debuff on the rest of the map, but it still feels like Clocked In are looking very strong going forward.
Paul just hunting on the left-hand side here, using those portals just however he likes. They still look like they want to force this Phoenix over here, despite only having 2 Fire Giants that are going to run out in 40 seconds.
Bit of a cripple there from Happen. Finds it on top of Benny Q. Clocked In think better of a push into the left side. Instead, they're going to choose to back off. Probably, it's to me at least, Book, this is a wait for fire to respawn angle.
Yes.
Like, what? There's not a whole lot to find on the map except for birds, and I feel like we're approaching a stage of the game. If you're Glurp, if you lose a team fight in a big way, like if you're not able to trade out properly with Clocked In like you've been able to before, that kind of feels like the end of it, right? And if you're Clocked In, you're trying to make that happen, but tier 2 towers are not much at 45 minutes in the game. Like, that's paper. It's just paper mache, you're cutting through it. It's not a big deal to these characters that are sitting with so much strength and intelligence to just burn through it all. So this game feels like it's on a knife's edge, where the next team fight really could decide, even if it doesn't end the game right away, it very much sets the precedent of this is going to be hard to come back from. And Paul's just standing in front of everybody too. Like, what is this positioning? He doesn't even care.
Using that ultimate as well. He's looking for something. Not going to be able to find it. Gets walled there. Still holds onto the beads, though. Man, just... I don't know. I think Glurp are just a little spooked. They're kind of not sure why a Yanis is walking forward at them like this. They realize that he must have members in tow. And look at this clocked in comp. I think Paul at this point can just do this because if he is the target that is all in, the rest of the team can follow up off of it. Tagveer can really punish that with that ultimate. If the Aegises are down and forced by Paul, Hydrogen can just ult and spam abilities over the wall. You know, Happen can kind of dash in and kind of surprise you with those roots. Karmic can throw damage from a distance. Just, I think it's okay if Paul plays like that. Maybe not necessarily right now around this Fire Siege, but in moments like that where they're playing forward, Paul can be the sacrificial lamb, because you mentioned it. If you lose one member, but you wipe them, the game is over.
Yep. And Paul is definitely going to be able to do a healthy chunk of damage even before he dies, because standing in front of that Giannis is a health hazard, unlike anything I have seen before. Being able to do just a ridiculous amount of damage. And now we're kind of back to this waiting game, this dance. A soft pull on the Pyromancer could be on the horizon, but Karmic and Paul playing next to each other. Still looking to see if they can catch anybody out. I like the positioning here from Valo as well. Kind of hoping that maybe Clocked In look for the Fire Giant angle, but also still around to be able to jump over and look for these ultimates. But, you know, relics are available for everybody. Ultimates are available for everybody except for Happen, but that won't take long to have on. So it's again the staring contest.
Oh, Valo gonna get spotted out by that ward, I believe, as Zav goes in.
There it is, and there goes the damage. Zav is dead for his sins of trying to start up this fight. Karmic gets in the mix there as well. Tagveer launches the ultimate, putting the damage on. Valo with the ultimate behind, but not able to find anything that they want. Benny Q looks for Tagveer, and Paul decimates Tuba. 1,600 damage to the dome top. Happen, able to find the root on top of a poor Speak No Evil, who's getting chased down by Paul. The auto attack will be enough to confirm, and now Valo is going to be left by himself. Him and one other. Benny Q, do you have enough to stop Paul from chasing after you? 5 Knights at Paul's, just trying to get away, just trying to survive. Ding dong goes the clock, but he's standing outside your door. Down goes Penny Q, and Paul's on a rampage, and the fight that we were worried about for Glurp is upon us, as now Clocked In start running it down, but Valo did not get a chance to back in time. Eats an unstable vortex to the face. Paul trying to buy some space, trying to go through time, does not land the ultimate because of the Aegis. But cool guys, don't look at explosions. He's caught inside that portal, and Clocked In are gonna run it down. Zav is here to defend, but is it gonna be enough?
Zav just engaged as soon as he saw Paul use the portal on the right-hand side. He just tries to go in, force Paul out. Paul didn't even use his beads in that entire sequence. Zav up in 3 seconds, but I don't think he can defend against 4 members strong here.
Yeah, that'll be it. That'll be game 1. Clocked In, 4 Clocked In, as they're able to show up and show out. I mean, Paul is back, and that is the hands-down situation that you got to deal with.
I mean, look, Glurp are just so happy that, you know, vault bans are a thing, because you don't have to deal with that Yanis yet again.
No kidding.
I mean, picks and bans, there has to be a change here. There's going to be such a dynamic shift. That was such a close game, though, and so Glurp, they could be right back in it.
Well, whether or not they get back in it is a question for the future, so we're going to take a quick break, and then we will be right back, so don't go anywhere. We got more Smite Prime action after this. And we are so back, gamers. What is up? It's time for a little bit of a recap of the game that we saw here in the October circuit for Smite Prime. My name's Museum, joined here by Spirited Book. We still got General Jithens and Tess, Almighty Eye in the Sky, basically Billy in the back of house, cooking up all kinds of production goodness for us so we can tell you what's even happening on the screen. Book, it was a crazy game 1 that took quite a while to finish. I'm hoping maybe you can walk us through it for those of us at home.
I mean, it was kind of just a wild back and forth game between these two teams. It was all clocked in the early game. They just got themselves into such a good spot, and it's all off the back of Paul. Paul Yanis is just disgusting. And this play here is what kind of cost them their lead. They just played too aggressive in the enemy jungle for Glurp, and then Glurp just punished them for it. And it gets them back in the game. The game then extends another 10 plus minutes, and it's just a back and forth battle of inches between the two teams. And really, it is just, I think at the end of the day, Zav just goes a little too deep there. Again, moments like this where Paul is just from a distance able to fire off this through space and time. He played so well and easily is my MVP for this game for his team. Clocked In will live and die by Paul, and they did exactly that for 40-something minutes here.
It's just kind of ridiculous how much damage this Yanis was able to do. Also got a shout out, not only Karmic, but Tagveer as well, causing so much chaos, forcing so many eyes on top of them that I think really enabled this Giannis to be able to operate, because Glurp couldn't just hard focus the Giannis like maybe they would have wanted to, because that opens them up to the rest of the clocked in team. You get a chance to see this fight here as well. Valo is able to completely, chop away Happen, but at what cost? Because Clocked In are able to find that Fire Giant and get crazy damage off with Paul. Benny Q, definitely an incredibly strong player here, sitting at 11-3, and
yeah, wow,
almost matching the damage from Paul, just 4k down, which is not that much, I think, in the context of this game.
No, I thought Benny Q was easily one of the best players on Glurp by far. I mean, he was just popping off so much damage as the Merlin from a distance. Yeah, 60k to 66k throughout the course of that game. It really was a battle of the mid laners. I just think Clocked In, like you mentioned, have a better supporting cast for Paul to really go off in that moment.
So, these picks that you see here on this board will not be available in the next game to come, because we are operating with vault bans. So what that means is that in a best of 3 set, once a god is played, that god is locked away in the vault and cannot be picked by either team for the rest of the set. So now we've seen the Giannis, right? Nobody can have the Giannis. Now we've seen the Merlin. Nobody can have the Merlin. Those games, those picks are not coming back.
No, for sure. And I think honestly, Clocked In, though, they're still in a pretty decent spot. I mean, they played a composition that they don't play too often. I mean, when have I seen Paul play Yanis? I haven't seen him play this whole month, and suddenly he's pulling this pick out. He still has characters like the Euler. He still has characters like the Hecate available to him. Tagveer still has Achilles. There's a lot open still for Clocked In.
And we're going to see what they want to have as we kind of mosey on over to picks and bans, you and I, between Glurp and Clocked In. Glurp's going to be taking a look at first pick this go around. You can see down there the little graphic underneath the team rosters to see for yourself who is in the vault and banned away. So like you said, the fact that Achilles is going to be available for Tagveer, it's actually going to be one of the first things taken off the board. Glurp knows ball at this point, and they do not want to give Tagveer any semblance of an advantage.
Yeah, I love this ban away immediately, just not allowing Tagveer to be on something comfortable. This does leave potential for Osiris to get through, but Glurp, like you mentioned, their first pick, they want to be playing for characters like the Osiris, like the Bellona. And so Clocked In, I think they have to be a little careful of what they decide to ban away here. It is the Bellona, and so that does leave open characters like Osiris for now. I wouldn't be surprised if Ymir's priority suddenly goes up. Both Speak No and Happen do like this character. I can't imagine seeing it picked like, first overall. Maybe second and third here we could see it from Glurp, but Clocked In, they might decide to pick it in the top 2 if it goes to them. So what Glurp prioritize in first pick is going to be very important for this team and dictate, what kind of play style they really want to play here.
And I feel like there are going to be a few things to look at, like whether or not we see that Osiris band away again. We still have the Jormungandr available for Karmic too, so a couple of solo lane picks that maybe Clocked In could try to snatch up if Glurk doesn't take it away first. It doesn't look like Jing Wei has been getting banned away here yet either. Is going to be the Ares that's taken away from Speak No Evil. There it is. No Jing Wei for Hydrogen. So that's still off the table. It's going to be one last ban away from Clocked In.
It's interesting. First pick, both times now have decided to ban away the Jing Wei. So that tells me that the team in first pick does not want to prioritize that pick as their first overall. They'd rather, pick something, a supporting cast around it. I'm trying to see what is available. Ymir banned away here by Clocked In. So this leaves a couple of options open. Hecate, Osai, and Yorm, all characters banned from last game, are available. The question is, what do Glurp prioritize? I got to imagine that it's something like the Osiris. I think that character is so oppressive. And just the way, exactly. Locked in first.
There it is.
We saw Valo piloted it earlier, if I'm not mistaken. Or was that Tegvir? I think that was Tegvir. Or was it Valo? I think Valo, yeah?
I believe it was.
We saw it in the jungle.
Valo that we saw it earlier.
I believe it was Valo too. Yeah.
Yep. Because they were.
Valo did pilot it earlier, so it is a flex. Yeah, it's a flex potential here between Zav and Valo, I would imagine. So I like this already. And Clocked In respond with a Baron Hecate. Hecate again banned away, available this time. Paul's gonna lean on that now that the Yanis is off the table here. What do Glurp go for? You can't imagine that they're gonna go for the Yorm. Maybe they will. Ooh, I don't like this. I don't like the Nuwa. I like the Ganesh, but I do not like the Nuwa here, Musi.
It's okay. So think about it. A little flaming shard action, little global presence, a lot of damage to be had there. But it's not the safest pick that I would want into Clocked In here. Although now you have this Jormungandr, it's a lot of magical damage to be had for Clocked In, so there's going to be a lot of pressure on both Tegvir and Hydrogen to be able to perform for that physical damage that they're looking for. But I mean, maybe Benny Q is Benny Q. I think that's something that we got to think about going in with this new pick. Kind of keep an open mind, trying to think of ourselves. Well, maybe Benny Q knows something. If there's anything I know about Benny Q, he's got to know something out there. I mean, a good response to open the gates would be the Nuwa ultimate. As long as Clocked In doesn't have a jungler that can just kind of jump on top of this Nuwa, it should be okay. But so early in the draft, I am kind of with you. It's a little scary.
Look, Musi, I love Nuwa. Past 30 minutes, when you're 6 items and you get a 3k pot, that's when I love Nuwa. For 30-something minutes, she is one of my least favorite characters in the game. And against this Clocked In composition where now you've drafted the Uller, which is an early pressure ADC, could even flex to jungle for Tegvir if he wants to. This is kind of spooky for Glurp, because where are you leaning now if you're the side of Glurp? Are you, putting Osiris jungle here, and then that's your early pressure to hopefully get this Nuwa through the early game? The Ganesh is, okay in the early game, but Ganesh is in such a weird spot right now, in my opinion, where he just kind of exists and does classic Ganesh things where he can silence the person in front of him, and then the ultimate will be good to AoE space control, but his lockdown's okay, his CC and peel is okay, it's not the best. So this is just, I don't like this top 3 already from Glurp. I love the Osiris, but immediately following it up with Nuwa Ganesha has kind of lost me a little bit.
Looks like Glurp is going to be opting for a Cabrakan for their solo lane, which I think when you're going up against characters like Baron Samdi and Hecate, I kind of dig that. Cabrakan walls are able to lock people down. The CERN hover is interesting, given that there are other ADC picks available that maybe I would have prioritized a little bit higher, thinking about things like the Artemis maybe would have been pretty good here. Ho Yi is still very strong to have in your back pocket there. But, I mean, Glurp is already running, a couple of off-color picks. Go all the way down. Go all the way in for it. Lock in that Cernunos and be able to operate with a lot of little root action, a little bit of that wild hunt, and then Clocked In follows it up with the Cupid.
Man, look, Cern is like one of the most fun hunters to play. I love Cernos. He is just so fun to play. The way he plays, where you can kind of play from a distance, then all in with the passive melee autos. But I do not like it here. I do not like it into Baron Somni. I do not like it into Hecate. I don't like it into Jormungandr. I don't like it now into Cupid either, because yes, that is Uller jungle, Cupid ADC now. Yeah, I think Tuba may not have a fun time this game. I'm not gonna lie. I think he's gonna get ulted by pretty much anyone. He's gonna get CC'd by pretty much everyone, and he's gonna die a lot this game. I think this is where we dig Tuba's grave now. I'll go grab the shovel. You go grab the grass seed, and yeah, that's I think this is it. I think this is wrapped up here, Musy.
Grass seed is a crazy call out, because that's actually really important when you want to bury something, because otherwise it's kind of like just like a bunch
looks
of
like
dirt.
Fresh dirt.
So
yeah.
If
you're going through a field of like grass and there's like one like dirt patch, you're like, aha.
Oh, buried treasure, or a third more sinister option. Who knows what's going on down here? But
no,
I think as much as we can criticize this Glurp composition, I do agree with you. There are some glaring weaknesses here, especially in the face of what Clocked In have drafted. I cannot help but feel I've got a sixth sense. I've got a bad feeling about this.
You see dead people? I got you.
Something's bothering me. I see dead people. And if Tuba is allowed to find himself with an aggressive lead with this Cern, I feel like that could really start to catapult some scary things for Glurp. The question is, can you do that with Ganesh? Or even, I called a Cabrakan solo earlier. Do you think there's ever a scenario where it's a Ganesh solo for Zav and then a Cabrakan support for Speak No Evil? Because that would be super aggressive for that lane, right? Or am I cooking a little too hard here?
Yeah, I think the Ganesh aspect is like, okay. I don't think it's like the worst idea ever, but I can't imagine Ganesh is something you would want to put in the solo lane, especially because honestly, you look at this comp that Clock didn't have. The silence actually does a lot of work here, you know, all things considered. You want to stop the Uller from casting, you want to stop the Cupid from dashing, stop the Hecate from casting, stop Baron from ulting you, you know, stop the Jormungandr from walking up in the stealth form, or even stop the Jormungandr from ulting away is a big call out for the Ganesh. You want to stop him from kind of escaping and being that safe character that once he's in your face, he can just kind of ult away to safety. But I agree there is flex potential here. And I think the idea behind this Glurp comp is you have a Nuwa mid, and I said Nuwa is good at 30-something minutes and she's got a 3k pot. There are 4 characters here alongside the Nuwa that are good in the early to mid game and can make impacts in the early to mid game. I think the idea here is Glurp are just 4 characters that want to get Benny Q on Nuwa to late game to the point where he just presses one key, one button, and in that moment, Glurp just instantly win the fight. Just right then and there. They just instantly win the fight. Whether they kill anyone with that Nuwa ultimate or not, they win the fight in that moment. Clocked In, though, have such good playmaking potential. You know, Baron ultimate is so good. Hecate ultimate, Open the Gates, is so good to just set up fights and really just clean up fights as well. Jormungandr, one of the characters we praise Karmic Force time and time again, where he's in your face and just does not die because he's so safe with that ultimate. Uller, the ultimate playmaking ADC. And then Cupid, just a counter pick to a lot of what Glurp have, where the Ganesh is going to get his stun stopped. The Cern is really vulnerable in the 1v1 matchup. Tuba's going to have to play really safe here in this lane, give up a lot of neutral farm in the lane to the point where he actually might become irrelevant really quickly if he's not careful. He has to lean on the beads, which is important because, I mean, Clock didn't have some characters that can really abuse you for not having Aegis. It is a scary one if you're Glurp. And they do have the tools to win the game, but it's just very odd. It's a very odd decision to go towards this composition. Remember, Smite 2 Bad Boys, they are hoping that Glurp lock in here, because if Clock didn't win this game, they will secure themselves the first seed going into next week.
So, Smite 2 Bad Boys off to the side. Scream's just like, all right, Benny. need you. He needs you
Yeah.
to get this for me.
This is absolutely a Scream
we were
draft.
teammates. This is Scream sending DMs. All right, now I want you to get the new one next, and then think about this. Bracken, CERN for the last picks.
Yeah.
Benny's
CERN
just
looks
like,
really good here, by the
yeah,
way.
run it. Yeah, sure. Let's just run it. Let's go crazy on it, right? Why not? Let's just have it. Let's just do it. Let's just go for it. But the question, and I guess, really just does become, can Glurp drag out another game to that 30+ minute mark that they're looking for? And it feels like they had some pretty tough engagements and uphill battle that they were fighting off that last game they just played. So I feel like maybe they can make that magic happen again. And speaking of magic, let's go ahead and jump into the game of magic, wonder, and whimsy and fun of Smite 2 Game 2 between Glurp and Clocked In here in the Smite Prime October Circuit Week 3 Finals. It's me, it's Book, it's Tess, and Jithens, and Billy. We're all here to give you the wonderful action. And we are seeing that it is Cabrakan solo and Ganesh support.
Yep, and I think that makes the most sense at the end of the day. I'm kind of actually, I just thought of it as we were going into the game. Maybe we might see CERN mid, and then because we saw Benny play X-Ball earlier, and then put Nuwa in the ADC role and maybe go for the aspect. You don't necessarily have to go for the aspect, but just go a full int build and then just one shot from a distance and just really play a farming lane in duo. But instead it is going to be the CERN ADC, and CERN early game is really strong. His fight potential is arguably similar to Uller, where he can just pop the 2 on a target. If it roots, as speaking of roots, Benny Q,
yeah, putting the damage on. I mean, I feel like if you try to walk up to Benny Q,
he's got a root.
You will just be able to punish with the root from Nuwa and, you know, the damage that character is able to do, at least in early levels. Paul has to be a little bit careful here, but no, you're not gonna kill him again. I thought about it for a second. I was like, I wonder, but no, they're fine. It's not like it was last time.
You know, for sure. And honestly, Nuwa, again, another character that can kind of be surprisingly good level 1, that 3 with a little bit of a passive where it makes Nuwa's auto attacks do bonus damage as well. So just early trades for when it comes to auto attacks favor Benny Q, at least for now. I think once Paul gets level 3 and especially level 5, he'll just be Hecate and do Hecate things. But for now, Benny Q running into the enemy jungle here at Tegvir, just looking to be a little menace here, not gonna lie. He kind of, you know, was just in the face. Oh no, last time it was Paul in the face of Benny Q, if I'm not mistaken. And this time, look, it's been so long since we watched the early game. I'm surprised we're just not like all sitting around Fire Giant here. But this time around, Benny Q trying to take it to Paul in the early game.
I mean, once you're able to solo Paul once, that I feel like that might kind of get to your head a little bit. We were like, yeah, I'm actually the GOAT. First of all, I can get you whatever I want. But leveraging as much early pressure as you can, knowing that Paul on this Hecate pick is going to be able to turn that on you, just try to force that while you have the opportunity to do so. Glurp is able to secure that mid camp because Tegvir's off, causing some trouble of his own, sealing away the camps of Glurp. So, a little bit of a tit-for-tat situation between the two junglers here.
Tegvir also managed to get the oracles, so that's a trade favoring the side of Clocked In's jungler there, because they traded neutral camps and then Tegvir got an invade off in that small moment. So a small lead that's going to go the way of Tegvir, as I believe now Valo invaded upper right as right-hand side. Valo looking for Karmic here.
Karmic very low. In fact, Karmic's just straight up dead. Valo is able to find that last bit of damage that they were looking for. So Karmic will have a bit of a rough start on the Jormungandr pick over in that solo lane. Feels like Valo likes to put a lot of pressure on these side lanes too, Book, where they just try to get their side laners ahead and then go back to farming.
Yeah, and on a pick that he can kind of do that on. Osiris in jungle. We haven't seen it in so long. It's finally back in, you know, in Smite 2 this time around. And so just one of those characters that can be really oppressive on ganks in the early game with those kind of warrior-like base stats early on. The damage is just pretty good early on, so he can make plays in side lanes early. As there's the new ultimate just for vision, as Valo is looking here.
Goes in with the ultimate, gets the root on top of Karmic, and a lot of damage to follow, actually. Karmic forced to get away. In fact, takes and opens the gates right towards Benny Q, who doesn't have the mana to follow up the damage proper. Zav keeps trying to go after Karmic, but that snake is not fast enough to slip away. Valo finds that last bit that they were looking for, but unfortunately, it came at a pretty steep cost. Benny Q caught in the wrong spot at the wrong time. Ends up being a 1-for-1 trade.
Great ult from Paul, and Happen looking here on the left-hand side for a purple invade. Has Sunder to his name. Tuba gonna be the one to zone out the Baron Somity, but this is a tough one. I find this is a tough buff to defend sometimes, as Speak No Evil will get it, but there's the ultimate from Hydrogen.
Fields of Love catches on top of Tuba, and that's gonna be a dead Cern walking. Speak No Evil dashes away from the consigned spirits, so the Ganesh will be okay. What a crazy camera angle. But it's a very explosive start between the two teams here. Already 2-2 at this point, 4 minutes in, and a little bit of a gold lead for Clocked In.
Yeah, Clocked In, just better start. Do you want to give credit to Paul there in that moment on the top right-hand side there as well? That opened the gates, just stopped the members of Glurp from running in there. And honestly, you got to wonder, is there a world that they just continue on through the open the gates there and just take the portal that's going to give them and then look for Paul maybe in that instance? Because I don't think that they can afford to hesitate in moments like that when they're chasing down Karmic. It kind of just sucked in that moment where you can't commit fully to the kill. You got to back up a little, hesitate, and then allow Karmic to get away. And then look at Benny Q in mid, who, look, your Nuwa early game, you don't have the same level of damage as you did last game on the Merlin. You kind of got to play to sit back a little bit, farm it out a bit more. And level 7, sure, but you still need like good items before you can ever hope to make an impact this game. So expect Benny Q to sit back, cook a little bit, maybe put his feet up and on the couch and put a movie on for a bit, and then hopefully his team puts him in a good spot where he can be at 6 items and carry in the late game.
Zav putting quite a bit of damage on top of Karmic, the Kabrakan pick. It's just able to put so much work in. It's going to force an ult away from Karmic.
Sure.
They'll ult in for a little bit of damage initially, but eventually make their way out. It did look like Zav used Sunder there as well, so try to pour all they could into there. Meanwhile, over in the dual lane, Valo makes a rotation and a full-on gank. Jumps in, Fields of Love, the pillars as well. Health bar's looking pretty low. Happen is just barely able to die because of that Sunder from Speak No Evil. And the follow-up damage there as well. Here comes Tagveer. Jumps over after the Ganesha. The stun is good from Cupid and from the Ullr, so they'll be able to take that 1-for-1 trade. The supports of each side die. And it looks like Clocked In start making a rotation over towards this Gold Fury.
Yeah, no Sunder, and the members of Glurp had to back off. Valo is on the way, though, trying to contest, but it's already done.
Yeah, just completely shredded away. And look at this Cupid build, too. Triton's conch for Hydrogen. So just standing next to the rest of the team offers so much extra damage to be able to burn away objectives like that.
Oh, both ADCs, I think, are actually going Triton's Conch. You could see Tuba as well with those components of that item. Both ADCs, hybrid scalers, and they're both going for a Triton's Conch first. Interesting pickup here for these two. And honestly, this is a good idea, especially for Tuba. Standing next to Benny Q is just going to allow Benny Q to do a little bit more damage in the mid to late game, I would imagine. So love this pickup between these two ADCs.
It's so funny, too. Both solos and both ADCs have Triton's Conch. There's a crab in each corner in the item bars right now. Like, It's a seafood boil. There it is. Pillars. Hold on. A lot of damage. Open the gates. Tagveer jumps away. Speak the Weevil caught in. Dashes out. Where's the follow-up? He's dodging. He's weaving. Nobody's able to actually land that last hit. Tuba. Now it's time him to go in. Valo blinks in as well, trying to see what they can find. Root on top of Happen. Not able to make the repeat performance that Speak the Weevil was able to do, and he's going to end up dying. The Baron Samdi does not have the mobility needed to make that space, so Clocked In lose a member.
Great rotation from Tuba there. Knew the fight was going to break out in that moment and had to rotate first. Hydrogen just continued to push a wave as Zav getting Karmic low, but he's low as well. Ult will kill it. Zav with the solo kill on the right-hand side.
That's crazy. You even saw it in Karmic's eyes, seeing that they put Zav so low. They're like, wait, maybe I can get this. They pop that Aegis, but then Zav just turns around and says, silly 4-button, die. So Zav has been putting a lot of pressure on top of Karmic in this solo lane. And I feel like we haven't had a chance to see the Cabrakan versus Jormungandr matchup. So I'm almost wondering, is this kind of what we expected, or is this maybe a failing on Karmic's part?
I think it's honestly due to Valo ganking and paying attention to the right-hand side early on. This has allowed Zav to, get that early Triton's Conch and continue to exert pressure over here on the right-hand side. And so this Cabrakan is in a really good spot. And Cabrakan, we didn't touch on it too much in the draft, but Cabra's a really good character into a lot of the composition of Clocked In. Paul outside of that ultimate doesn't really have a way to get over the wall. Hydrogen doesn't have a way to get over the wall. Happen doesn't have a way to get over the wall. Outside of the ultimate, Karmic doesn't have a way to get over the wall. And in fact, Karmic might be in trouble here, has ult, might have to use it soon.
Well, he's going to use it to try to chase after Zav and think better of it, because Zav can 100% just turn it around on top of you. So not a fight that you want to take. In fact, it's going to be a little bit of a scuffle around these firebrands. Valo and Tegvir staring at each other, and Karmic around the corner. The rotation as well from Speak No Evil to position themselves for a little bit more. Tegvir finds 2 of those brands. Speak No Evil finds a friend. Holds Valo's hand, they walk back towards mid.
Valo is the one to pick up most of those rocks, so he's getting that little bit of extra split scaling on this Osiris character. And so he's going to be in a much better spot going into the mid game with the help of those rocks just a little bit. 12 to his name already, almost 10 minutes into the game. So he's in a really good spot to continue to keep farming this one out. And Tegvir only with just 1. 10 on Karmic though, and that I think is notable as well. Karmic is also a split scaler, and normally you want a funnel strat for Jormungandr solo to get those rocks because they scale really well. As left-hand side, Hydrogen, I believe, trying to steal the purple buff here.
Couple of Sunders in play, and a Life of a Party pull out as well. Tuba dashes away,
Good ult.
throws out the Wild Hunt, and Ganesha throws out Pillars as well, but doesn't look like it's causing anything. But a good root catches Happen by surprise, completely decimated as his health bar. A Cabrakan ultimate as well. Zav shows up to the party, but isn't able to catch anybody, so doesn't look like Glurp is able to force the fight, but no, we could force a little bit of that Gold Fury action. I mean, you do have all 5 members here. Gold Fury down, below 3k, Tegvir, Hydrogen, looking for a potential steal angle. Hecate off to the side, falling down low. It's confirmed by Hydrogen. Clocked In, steals away the Gold Fury. Now Glurp have to try to find a fight in order to see if they can leverage any kind of gold here. Karmic going in after Glurp, full health and ready to rumble. Paul picks away Speak No Evil. Karmic spits on the competition. Betty Q looking very low, destroyed by Paul in a double kill. Tegvir jumps over the wall and completely eviscerates Zav. Tuba left alone. It's a triple kill for Paul, and now Valo is going to be the sole survivor. Maybe you can try to trade out with this Hecate. Aegis of Acceleration pops, getting real speedy up in here, chasing after Valo, ducking and weaving and dodging, but not enough. A Quadra for Paul and shut down. Clocked In have everything in their hand.
What an ult from Paul around that Gold Fury. First of all, Hydrogen steals that one away. I don't know how, but he got it. And then Paul with that ultimate, the open the gates, not only used it as a way to just kind of pull members out from that Gold Fury fight and towards his allies, but also used it as an avenue for his teammates around that Gold Fury pit to teleport out to the right-hand side of that team fight to back up the rest of the members. They isolate Valo, and then Karmic goes into that Yorm ultimate and just chases down the members of Glurp, dropping those little poison fields that slows members down as he continues on. And man, oh man, Clocked In, man. Almost an 8,000 gold lead, 12 minutes in.
Glurp was looking as if they were in control of the situation for a little bit of time there. Valo was finding kills. Karmic was having a rough go of it. Actually, Valo's finding a little bit more than what he wants here, taking quite a bit of poke. Open the gates is there. In goes Paul. Valo blinks away, but Paul is giving chase here. Enough mana to make it happen. Purple mode, the Mez, boom! Yep, down goes Valo. And now Benny Q is going to be the next one that we look at. Up in the air, Nua ultimate gets a little bit of damage off, but not nearly enough. And there's life of the party. Sucked in and destroyed. Happen dances on the competition while he waits for the pillars to go away. Clocked in are running away with it as they take a look at that Pyromancer.
If Fire Giant was available 13 minutes in, they would be taking it right now, but instead they'll have to settle for
Easily.
Pyromancer. Man, just clocked in. They're just suddenly just able to run it down. Find Valo in his own jungle there. Take a 2v1 fight. They're just stronger in that moment, so they, you know, continue to fight it out with the help of the Zacate. And then Paul on his own just teleports in, starts that chase down, has backup in tow for when the rest of the members of Glurp eventually arrive, but Benny Q and Speak No Evil just get caught out on their own in mid as a 2v2. There's 4 members strong. The grouping has just been better from Clocked In so far.
What changed? What changed that enabled Paul to go from just kind of hanging out in the side, 0 kills, to 5-0? Like, they were sitting with 0 kills. They were just chilling out, and all of a sudden they just walk away with a huge lead, 2 levels over Benny Q.
All right, Musi, picture this. You're in Picks and Bans.
I'm picturing
and
it.
you see Benny Q, and he picks Nua.
Yep.
And you just know, man. You just know. Look, Paul just on the Zacate, he's got 2 items. He's now at 3 items here. The Spear of Desolation online as well. So the CDR is online for the Zacate, and that's really when she can just start to spam these abilities and chase you down. The movement speed on the shield as well. Just, and honestly, we talk about why Hecate is just so good. Her latest buff where her ultimate is just up so much quicker and more often, you're able to just throw these ultimates out and just use them as movement-based abilities, and you'll have it up fairly quickly. With the CDR build and with the base cooldown of it being so low, Paul is just able to be as aggressive as he wants as Tegveer, looking for Valo, but not going to find the axe, as BenQ does find a kill on the right-hand side to Karmic.
There are 4 people in the solo side of the map. You know what that means? Everybody run after Valo. Or not. I actually could have assumed it would have been a Gold Fury pull, but actually, it's a Fire Giant pull from Glurp. Dharmic Pillars dropped already, so Fire Giant falls down to 6k. Open the gates as well. Scatters the opposition. Clocked in. Now look for a hard engage. Zap finds a stone on top of Paul, looking pretty low. The Aegis is not enough. He ducked and weave, but Tuba finally finds it. Speak No Evil dies in the process. Benny Q able to let rip the ultimate, but Tuba is already dead. Benny Q finds the extra kill that they want. The Fire Giant is stolen by Clocked In. It was never dropped, and now Tegveer is looking for more. Stunned out by Zab and destroyed. Double kill for Benny Q. You don't get the Fire Giant, but at least you make a statement. Walk into my house again. This jungle is a stand your ground state.
But that's great for Glurp all of a sudden. They've gotten huge shutdowns. Sure, they don't get the fire, but it's just happened with the buff. So all of a sudden, Glurp, they're not, you know, as far out of the game. So many important kills going the way of Benny Q. And Tuba just buys so much time. Valo goes in, buys so much time. Speak No Evil using that Ganesh ultimate on the fire. I think they thought they would have had more burn in that instance, but maybe should have held it for that team fight. Would have made the fight just a little bit easier, but I just don't think that they expected that they were going to be able to take that fight and that it was going to go as well as it did. Paul just gets caught out by Tuba's, you know, root on the Bramble Blast. Just so much went the way of Glurp, despite being down so much gold, and that's what they needed to do. Force a fight in that moment. Stop Clocked In from snowballing just with their little 4-man, 3-man groupings in their own jungle. Clocked In, they get the Gold Fury, and it's a 10,000 gold lead, but I don't know, man. Just a momentum feeling. Glurp still feel in it, and look at this. Tuba on the right-hand side again. They're trying to get a pick on a Karmic again.
Well, Karmic is going to be able to ult away, though, so doesn't look like they'll actually be able to succeed in getting that pick. He'll be over by the blue buff wall, but that's where Speak No Evil is waiting with the Dharmic Pillars. He finds the dash in.
Stampede.
Everything's being poured on top of Karmic. There's the open the gates from Paul, and brings in 2, and they're getting actually destroyed. Down they go. It's Valo and Zeb that get completely eviscerated, and now Glurp are left without frontline and a jungler. So they're gonna have to back off, because guess what? Clocked In is actually moving in on that left side Phoenix. You've got Happen and Hydrogen that were moving up on those lanes. That forces movement from Benny Q as well. and it's a zig to zag scenario book, because then we just go and take a look at that Pyromancer. You know, Glurp has got that forward momentum. I'm with you. I really do feel like they can make something happen here, but Clocked In is playing on a different level right now. They are zigging and zagging and keeping Glurp on top of their toes, and it feels like they just can't catch up.
Agreed. Glurp, you know, despite getting those important shutdowns, they immediately then gave the Gold Fury, which I think was kind of tough from them. They just fought so well, and suddenly they give the next objective, and now Clocked In are kind of putting them in these spots where you have to decide, are you giving these towers here? If not, what are you getting elsewhere? Oh, we're not going to let you get anything elsewhere, because we're also going to send some members there to be able to back up our ally. Karmic just gets another open the gates portal to get away with, and you know, lives, pulls in Valo and Speak No Evil to kill them off. And man, just tough for Glurp all of a sudden, where we're 18 minutes in, it's over a 10,000 gold lead. 3 Gold Furies, all 3 pips to Clocked In already, just 18 minutes in. 11,000, like, what do they do here?
It is super tough. I mean, Karmic is getting looked at again by Valo and Zav, and they're going to start to try to group up with their own team. Glurp is going to have to take a couple of steps back. But, hey, I mean, you know, look at it this way, Book. We are T-minus 10 minutes or so away from Benny Q being online with this new op pick, surely. Right? It's got to happen eventually. And they've got some items, you know, ready to go, 4 to be exact. And as we're talking a little bit about builds as well, I'm looking across the board. I'm looking to see what's sticking out to me. Some power spikes. You know, I got Rod online for Paul and Navatar's Parashu for Hydrogen too. So everybody's kind of hitting super hard at this point. How do you even begin to slow this down?
Huh. I don't know, man. If I see an Avatar's Parashu's second item here, I just might be throwing up the F6 vote. But yeah, just so much gold for Hydrogen that he can afford a luxury item like that must feel pretty good. You gotta try and split the map. You gotta do what Tuba's doing. He's splitting left. You see Valo, he's splitting mid, trying to get whatever farm he can. But Clocked In, they're kind of just grouping and roaming. They're looking for these picks, because if they find a pick, they're gonna continue to snowball off that pick. And they're not letting the members of Glurp really try and split push and find whatever farm that they can get at this point. Level 19 on Benny Q, though. He is the saving grace, has 4 items, like you mentioned. Divine Ruin, which I think is interesting here. So just trying to get more AoE damage spread throughout a team fight is a nice little pickup here for him. But I don't know, man. You are just so far behind here if you're Glurp. I'm not really sure that you have much of an answer. Fire Giant will be pulled here. Paul's on his own, though.
By himself. And unafraid, dueling it out with Benny Q, who goes up into the sky with the new ultimate. Now they know that FG is happening, but Glurp is not going to make it in time. Happen confirms the Fire Giant. Karmic gets busy on top of Tuba, trying to turn it around on top of him, but the damage is just too much. The Cern is forced to dash away. Zav tries to intercept in between. The Stampede popped, and Glurp starts to make a retreat. Happens here. Life of the party is there as well. Can he find a target to pull somebody in? It's going to be Zav. Plenty tanky to be able to live through all that. Dharmic Pillars shoved out as well. Speak No Evil trying to force something out. Zav walks too close and dies for the sin of being in the same air that Paul decided that he wanted to breathe first. So now Glurp is left without a tank to be able to defend. There's the Fields of Love. It catches out Valo, who has nowhere to go except towards that fountain. Open the gates as well, was a little bit off the mark, but during all of this, the middle and the solo side Phoenix end up falling. Clocked In with Fire Giant are looking to find a bit more. No tier 2 towers on the board here, Book, so that Titan, it can't get much weaker than it is. Zav's gonna be up in about 10 seconds or so. I think it might just be a play for the bird.
They're trying to go for it here. Glurp are in the area, though, but still 5 men strong for Clocked In and Fire to their name. They're positioned like they want to go for it. No, they're going to back off now and go towards that Gold Fury. Just more objectives and gold to their name. Getting closer to the 5 item spikes and continuing to just snowball their item lead over Glurp, who just really do not have an answer here. It was a good ult from Speak No Evil just to buy time, but Zav just, yeah, like you mentioned, walked too far forward against Paul. And Paul, I thought, I thought Paul should have died there. He's on his own on the right-hand side. Everyone else is kind of, hesitating. Like, do we look at Paul? Do we look at the Fire Giant? Do we look at Paul? Do we look at the Fire Giant? And they get neither. Paul lives. He chases down Benny Q and Tuba with the help of Karmic, who just ults on over to back up his mid laner. And the Fire Giant just goes the way it clocked in. They're able to sustain up on the chase and just get all 3 birds. Glurp are in a very tough scenario. Last week, Musi, I had a moment where Mort asked me, what are the odds that this team, Smite 2 Bad Boys, were down over 10,000 gold? And Mort asked me, what are the chances that, the Smite 2 Bad Boys can come back? It's now 18,000 for this game.
Sheesh.
And look, they were down so much gold. I said it's a less than 1% chance they win. And then sure enough, I ate my words. They came back and won that game. It was kind of absurd. This time around, it is 18,000 gold. 3 Phoenixes down. Paul is on the other side. I don't think that Glurp can do this one. I think this is clocked in, and they're just going to wait for these waves to push, probably grab the Pyromancer on their way up, and they're just going to try and all in this Titan room here in just a moment.
It's going to be a tough fight if Glurp wants to make something happen here. I mean, Speaking of Evil is down 5 levels. That is devastating. It's not a position that you want to be in, but Glurp is still going to give it their all here. He's clocked in, start making that final march down towards that Titan throne room. Valo's off to the side. Maybe they can try to find a flank. Clocked in, walking in, looking at the Titan. Dharmic Pillars are out. The Titan's taking a lot of damage. 7k. Paul finds Valo. In goes Zav, and the damage is actually pretty significant. Is it going to be enough, though? Zav ends up falling down while Paul dies. Benny Q is going to be the last one surviving. Karmic chases after them to take a bite out of crime. A double kill for Hydrogen. And the game 4 clocked in. They have defended what they wanted. Paul is back. Welcome home, Theseus. It's your time.
Paul is back in Smite Prime, and that means Clocked In are once again the team to beat here. Week 3 victors going into week number 4, I believe, as the first seed overall into the closed bracket. And I think that's kind of it for games today. I mean, we'll throw it to a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you just what happened that last game, and then we'll close up the show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the end here of week 3 of the October Smite Prime circuit. My name is Musi. I'm joined here by Spirited Book. I've got General Jithins behind me, Tess, Almighty Eye in the Sky, and basically Billy giving us replays and posting pictures of my face on twitter.com. Thank you, Billy. We had a banger set that we just saw, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at not only the replays there, but just a few other things we got in store for you. Book, go ahead and walk me through this one.
Yeah, I mean, this is when Glurp kind of managed to fight back despite such a gold lead going the way of Clocked In. And I thought that this was such a good avenue for them. What, they kill 4 people and then they just lose a Fire Giant? Sure. But I mean, look, Clocked In were just so far ahead. They immediately go to the Gold Fury on the left-hand side, get that, and continue to build the lead until it's just insurmountable. Glurp just too far behind, trying to defend their Phoenixes, lost all 3 birds, and then just put up a decent defense at the end here. Just so much AoE damage here, and I thought that they would have killed Paul a little bit quicker, and that Zav might have been able to turn this around, but no, just not enough damage in that moment. Only Paul dies. Tegvir stays alive. Benny Q ends up falling at the end here. And Clocked In, man, the team to beat yet again now that Paul is back. They just look so much better than everyone else around them. Only Smite 2 Bad Boys so far, to me, have looked just kind of as good, if not at times a little better than them. And so this version of Clocked In looks so scary, even to Smite 2 Bad Boys, in my opinion.
They are definitely going to be the team to beat coming into next week here as we get a chance to see some of the stats from this last game. And
24K.
Yeah, I mean, just taking a look at some of the damage dealt here. 24k again from Paul. Benny Q, top damage of the game, but you're playing Nuance. That's to be expected, but it really felt like nobody else had a chance to really catch up in terms of numbers. Glurp just never had a chance to get their wings off the ground and take flight in the way that they were hoping to. So, as they start to move on towards next week, baby, start to rethink some of the processes for those picks and bans. But hey, we still got a couple more things in store for y'all. We'll take a quick look at how the day as a whole progressed with our compilation of clips here. Starting off with Titans versus 800 GPM. I mean, this was a brawl of a game book. I really enjoyed watching this one.
Yeah, I mean, just 800 GPM, just in force, just looked so good. Showed that they can, draft an idea and really execute that idea really effectively here, and just a dominant performance in a game. I think they just should have won. I mean, you got adapting Echrome, like these are just like known players in the scene for a hot minute here. They look so strong, so good as a unit, and ready going into the closed bracket is when you want to be firing on all cylinders. Really execute your strategies. That pullback in there from Vives is so sick. This wall from Speak No Evil is also so sick. This one, and then there's one coming up here that you'll see in just a moment. But this retirement home team as well looked pretty decent at times. Just Glurp looked a little bit better.
Yeah, and there's that wall. Oh my goodness, Speak No Evil. Just really able to show up in this Ymir pick. And as good as Retirement Home was, I agree, Glurp was just able to really show up and show out, only really being stopped or slowed down by Clocked In, which is almost unarguably one of the best teams in Smite Prime at this point, and have been for a very long time. The advent of Paul definitely makes or breaks that. Strength of Wood, again, having a chance to kind of show up in this tournament. Again, I think they're the new always the bridesmaid, never the bride, where they get close, but they haven't quite figured out how to crack into that upper echelon of the Smite Prime teams. But, every time that they play, every opportunity they get, they're going to get closer and closer. So expect to see those names even more frequently.
And this is the second last game of the day. Clocked In versus Glurp. Game number 1. Paul on the Yanis again, man. It is absurd what this guy was able to pull off here. Just so much damage. And Glurp fought back really well into this game, but just Paul in the late game, it just does not matter. Continues to put out good damage. Karmic as well in this game. I want to give a shout out to the Wukong that did little things like this, where just stayed alive for so long in the middle of everybody. Allowed Paul to walk back in, take down Valo before he ended up falling down as well. So just buys so much time on this Wukong. And then here is Clocked In, ending the Titan room and just, winning this week 3 of Smite Prime, going into the closed bracket of week 4 in a really commanding position here. Clocked In, we keep saying it, they're the team to beat, and they keep showing us why. They are just so strong. They have so many draft ideas now. Tegvir able to play, the Ullr, the Achilles, the Tsukiyomi really effectively. Paul showing that he can play Yanis now and just absolutely hard carry like a menace. It is, how do you ban out and deal with this Clocked In composition? How do you deal with the aggression that this Clocked In composition has? So far, no one's really shown an answer to it just yet.
Getting a chance to take a look at the brackets here. Sesiete able to win out over Strength of Wood in their 3rd place match. And I also have a little bit of an announcement to all of you watching out there. The giveaway winner of today, it is, drumroll please, the freaking Pope. Nice. Big W's in the chat for my goat, the freaking Pope out there. Congratulations on winning your Misdiagnosis Neath Skin. Be sure to get that to you. Just keep on doing what you do. Quite literally doing the Lord's work out there. So thank you so much for that, the freaking Pope. Congratulations on your skin.
The freaking Pope, man. Was in twitch.tv/Smite Prime. Isn't that something? Yeah. He typed #giveaway.
Generational.
Yeah. I just feel so honored to be here today to witness such a momentous occasion, man.
Well, that is all that we have in store for you today, but really quickly want to shout out, thank you everybody for coming by and watching week 3 here for Smite Prime at the October circuit. My name is Musi. I've been joined here by Spirited Book, of course. Be sure to thank our production. We have Jithins, who helps admin everything, making sure that we all stay behaved. Tess was on charge of the camps today, making sure that we could see everything going on, and Billy helps get you those replays and help making sure socials are up and running and looking good. So please make sure to thank our production. We literally can't do it without them. And again, thank you, and thank all the players for showing up today. We really appreciate the support, and we hope that you're excited for some more. Smite Prime Finals is next week, so be ready to get spooky, because it's going to be diabolical. But until then, we're going to see you next time, guys.